Consider for a moment where you stand right now in your journey towards your dreams. Perhaps you feel you've come a long way, yet the final goal still seems just out of reach. Or maybe you're in the midst of what seems like an endless struggle, wondering if you'll ever see the fruits of your labor. Wherever you are, I say unto you, you are in the final stretch. The realization of your vision is closer than you could possibly imagine. But what does it mean to be in the final stretch? It is not a matter of time or distance as the world perceives it. It is a state of consciousness, a shift in perception that can catapult you from where you are to where you desire to be. The final stretch is a critical juncture where your unwavering faith and persistent imagination can bridge the gap between your current reality and your desired state. Let us delve deeper into this profound truth. Your outer world, everything you experience in your physical reality, is nothing more than a reflection of your inner world. It is a mirror faithfully reflecting back to you the sum total of your beliefs, assumptions, and most importantly, your imaginative acts. When you understand this, truly understand it, you realize that the distance between you and your vision is not a physical distance at all. It is simply the space between your current self-concept and the self-concept of your vision realized. This understanding is crucial, for it shifts the entire paradigm of achievement. No longer are you struggling against external forces or waiting for favorable circumstances. You are simply aligning your consciousness with the version of you that has already achieved your vision. This alignment, this shift in self-concept, is the true final stretch. But how, you may ask, does one navigate this final stretch? The answer lies in the power of your wonderful human imagination. For your imagination is not a mere fantasy maker, it is the very workshop in which reality is forged. When you imagine yourself as having already achieved your vision, when you assume the feeling of your desire realized, you are not engaging in idle daydreaming. You are engaging in the most powerful creative act known to man. Let us take a moment to truly understand this. Your subconscious mind does not distinguish between what you vividly imagine and what you actually experience in the outer world. It accepts as true whatever you feel to be true. And once it accepts an idea as true, it proceeds to bring it into manifestation in your physical reality. This is why the ability to persist in your imaginal act, especially when outer circumstances seem to contradict it, is so crucial in the final stretch. Consider the biblical phrase, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. This is not about blind belief in something external. It is about the faith that comes from feeling the reality of your vision in the realm of imagination, knowing that this feeling is the very substance and evidence of its physical manifestation. In the final stretch, this faith becomes your beacon, guiding you through any doubts or setbacks that may arise. But let me be clear, navigating the final stretch is not about sitting idly and waiting for things to magically appear in your life. It is about a fundamental shift in consciousness that naturally leads to inspired action. When you truly feel the reality of your vision achieved, your actions naturally align with that feeling. You begin to think, speak, and act from the perspective of already being the person who has realized that vision. Let us explore this further with an example. Imagine a man who aspires to be a successful author. He has written his book, but now faces the challenges of publishing and gaining recognition. In the old paradigm, he might frantically send out query letters, constantly worry about rejection, always feeling the lack of success. But in doing so, he is affirming his current state of being unpublished and unrecognized. He is living from the assumption that success is still a distant goal. And so the universe faithfully reflects this assumption back to him. Now, imagine this same man shifting his approach as he enters the final stretch. Instead of focusing on the absence of success, he assumes the feeling of being a successful author. He feels the satisfaction of holding his published book, the joy of connecting with his readers, the sense of accomplishment that comes with recognition. He lives each day from this feeling, carrying himself with the confidence and purpose of someone who has already achieved his vision. In this state, he no longer desperately chases after successes. He may still take actions towards publishing, but he does so from a place of inner certainty rather than anxious need. And in doing so, he becomes magnetic to opportunities that align with his vision. He allows success to flow into his life, drawn by the power of his assumption and the clarity of his imaginal act. This principle applies to every area of your life, my friends. Whether your vision is related to career, relationships, health, or any other aspect of life, the key to navigating the final stretch is to live from the end. Feel the reality of your vision now in your imagination and persist in this feeling regardless of outer circumstances. Now I can hear some of you thinking, but Neville, isn't this just positive thinking? Isn't this denial of my current reality? And to this, I say emphatically no. This is not about denying your current circumstances. It is about understanding the true nature of reality and the creative power of your consciousness. Your current circumstances are nothing more than the fruit of your past assumptions and imaginal acts. They have no power to determine your future, unless you give them that power by continuing to focus on them and feel their reality. When you shift your focus, when you assume a new self-concept aligned with your vision, you are not denying reality. You are exercising your divine right to choose which reality you wish to experience. Remember, the outer world is dead. It has no life of its own. It is your consciousness that gives life to your experiences. When you wait for your circumstances to change before you feel the reality of vision, you are putting your power in the hands of shadows, reflections of past states of consciousness. But when you change your inner state, when you assume the feeling of your vision realized, you cause the outer world to rearrange itself to match your new inner reality. This, my dear friends, is the true secret to navigating the final stretch. It is about aligning yourself with the law of assumption, recognizing that your vision is seeking you just as you are seeking it, and allowing it to flow into your experience through the power of your imagination and feeling. But let me warn you, this final stretch is not always a smooth path. The old habits of reacting to external circumstances, of letting your feelings be dictated by what you see, are deeply ingrained in our collective consciousness. As you navigate this crucial phase of your journey, you may find resistance arising within you. Doubts may creep in. Old patterns may try to reassert themselves. When this happens, do not fight against these thoughts and feelings. Simply observe them, acknowledge them, and then gently return to your new assumed state. For the war is not won by battling against what you don't want, but by persistently embodying the feeling of what you do want. This persistence, this unwavering faith in the face of contrary evidence, is what distinguishes those who successfully navigate the final stretch from those who fall short of their vision. I like tuning a radio. When you're trying to listen to a particular station, you don't focus on eliminating all the other stations. You simply tune into the frequency you desire. In the same way, as you navigate the final stretch, you don't need to fight against your current reality or forcefully push away doubts and fears. You simply need to tune yourself to the frequency of your vision realized, to align yourself with the feeling of your wish fulfilled. This tuning is done through your imagination and your ability to generate feeling states. Your imagination is the dial that allows you to tune into different frequencies of experience. As you use your imagination to assume the feeling of your vision realized, you are tuning yourself to that frequency, allowing the corresponding experiences to flow into your life. But remember, my friends, This is not a one-time event. Navigating the final stretch requires consistent effort. Just as an athlete in the final stretch of a race must maintain their focus and effort until they cross the finish line, you too must persist in your imaginal act until your vision manifests in your outer reality. This is about persistently assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled, about living from that state day in and day out until it becomes your new normal. As you do this, you will find that the very concept of striving begins to fade from your consciousness. For how can you strive for what you already feel as real? How can you struggle towards what you are already experiencing in your imagination? This shift in perception is the key to effortlessly navigating the final stretch, to experiencing the realization of your vision with grace and ease. Now, some of you may be wondering, but Neville, how can I maintain this feeling state when my outer world shows no signs of change? How can I persist when the final stretch seems to go on indefinitely? And to this I say, your imagination is more powerful than any physical circumstance. Consider for a moment, have you ever been so engrossed in a book or a film that you lost all sense of your surroundings? In those moments, were you not feeling the reality of a world that existed only in your imagination? Your feelings were real, even though the events were imaginary. This is the power you must harness to navigate the final stretch. You must use your imagination to create scenes that imply the fulfillment of your vision. If your vision is a business success, imagine closing a major deal or receiving accolades for your achievements. If it's a vision of perfect health, imagine the feeling of vitality coursing through your body or the joy of engaging in activities that your current condition might limit. Feel these states as vividly and as consistently as you can. The key is to make these imaginal acts as real to you as possible. Engage all your senses. If you're imagining business success, feel the weight of the pen as you sign that important contract. Hear the applause of your peers. Smell the leather of your new office chair. Make it real in your mind and the feelings will naturally follow. But here's a crucial point, my friends. As you navigate the final stretch, do not become fixated on specific events or outcomes. The goal is to capture the essence of the feeling state associated with your vision realized. For it is this feeling state that is the true attractor of your desire. Let me illustrate this with an example. Suppose your vision is of finding your perfect life partner. You might be tempted to imagine a specific person or a particular sequence of events leading to your meeting. While this can be a useful starting point, it is limiting. Instead, capture the feeling essence of being in a loving, fulfilling relationship. What does it feel like to be deeply understood and accepted? How does it feel to share your life with someone who complements you perfectly? What is the feeling of love, companionship, and mutual growth? By focusing on the feeling essence rather than specific outcomes, you allow the universe to bring your vision to you in ways that might far exceed your specific imaginings. You open yourself to possibilities beyond what your current mindset can conceive. This is how you navigate the final stretch with grace and openness, allowing your vision to unfold in the most beautiful and appropriate way. As you persist in this practice, you may find that your outer world begins to shift in subtle ways. Perhaps opportunities you never noticed before suddenly seem to appear, or solutions to long-standing problems come to you effortlessly, or people respond to you differently in a way that aligns with your vision. These are all signs that you are successfully navigating the final stretch, that your inner shift is creating ripples in your outer reality. Don't discount these small changes. Celebrate them. See them as confirmation that the law is working, that your assumption is taking root. But don't become attached to them or anxiously look for them. Simply acknowledge them with gratitude and continue to live from your assumed state. For in the final stretch, it is your unwavering faith and persistent imagination that will carry you through to the full realization of your vision. As you continue to navigate the final stretch, larger changes will begin to manifest. The full realization of your vision will unfold in ways that might surprise and delight you. But remember, the outer manifestation is not the goal. The goal is the state of consciousness from which your vision naturally flows. This is a crucial point, my friends. When you're truly living from the end, when you're fully embodying the state of your vision realized, you no longer need the outer manifestation to feel complete. You're already whole, already fulfilled in your imagination. And paradoxically, it's in this state of completeness that your vision flows most easily into your experience. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Neville, what about action? Don't we need to do something to bring our vision into manifestation? And to this I say, yes, action is part of the process. But in the final stretch, it's inspired action, not frantic doing. When you're living from the state of your vision realized, ideas and opportunities will naturally present themselves to you. You'll feel inspired to take certain actions, to move in certain directions. These actions won't feel like effort or struggle. They'll feel natural, joyful, almost effortless. This is the difference between forcing and allowing. When you're trying to make something happen, actions feel forced, stressful, born out of fear and lack. When you're living from the end, actions flow naturally from your assumed state, guided by an inner wisdom that knows exactly how to bring your vision into manifestation. Consider the example of a flower reaching for the sun. It doesn't strain or struggle. It simply grows naturally in the direction of the light. You, my dear listeners, are no different. When you align yourself with the feeling of your vision realized, you allow your own blossoming to occur naturally and effortlessly. Your actions in the final stretch become a joyful expression of your inner state, rather than a desperate attempt to change your reality. But let me be clear, this state of allowing is not passive. It requires an active use of your imagination, a deliberate assumption of the state of your wish fulfilled. It requires faith, not blind faith, in an external power, but faith in the creative power of your own consciousness. This faith is not about believing that your vision will manifest someday in the future. It's about believing that your vision is already yours in the realm of imagination, and that the outer world must inevitably conform to this inner reality. As you cultivate this faith, as you persist in your assumed state, you'll begin to see more and more evidence of your vision manifesting in your outer world. These signs may start small, an overheard conversation that confirms your assumption, an unexpected opportunity that aligns with your vision, a shift in how others respond to you. Do not discount these signs, no matter how small they may seem, for they are confirmation that you are successfully navigating the final stretch, that your inner world is indeed shaping your outer reality. As we near the conclusion of our discussion, I want to address a common concern that arises when people find themselves in the final stretch. Many worry that if they fully embrace the feeling of their vision realized before it physically manifests, they'll become complacent or lose their motivation to take action in the world. But I assure you, my friends, the opposite is true. When you're feeling the reality of your vision, when you're aligned with the state of your wish fulfilled, you become more motivated, more inspired than ever before. But it's a different kind of motivation. It's not the frantic, anxious energy of someone desperately chasing a goal. It's the calm, confident energy of someone who knows their vision is already a reality. In this state, you take inspired action not because you feel you have to, but because you want to. You move through the final stretch with a sense of joy and anticipation, eager to see how your inner state will manifest in your outer world. This is the true gift of living from the end. It's not just about realizing a specific vision, although that will happen. It's about aligning yourself with the flow of life, with the creative power of the universe. It's about recognizing your own divine nature and allowing it to express itself fully through you. In this state of alignment, as you navigate the final stretch, you become a channel for the infinite possibilities of the universe. Ideas flow to you effortlessly. Opportunities present themselves naturally. The right people and circumstances appear in your life at the perfect time. This is the magic of living from the state of your wish fulfilled, of navigating the final stretch with grace and certainty. But remember, this magic is not something external to you. It's not some cosmic force that you need to appease or manipulate. It is the natural expression of your own consciousness when it's aligned with truth. You are the magic, you are the miracle, you are the creative power you've been seeking. And in the final stretch, this power becomes fully activated, propelling you towards the realization of your vision with unstoppable momentum. As we draw our time together to a close, I want to leave you with a final thought. The principle we've explored tonight, the fetch, achieve going, a vision awaits, is not just about achieving a specific goal or realizing a particular vision. It's about recognizing your true nature as a divine created being. It's about aligning yourself with the fundamental laws of the universe and allowing your grandest visions to flow into your experience. When you live from this understanding, everything changes. The world becomes a friendly place filled with infinite possibilities. You no longer see yourself as a small, separate being struggling against external forces. Instead, you recognize yourself as the creator of your reality, the author of your life story. In this state, there's no need to fear the final stretch, for you understand that everything you desire is already within you, waiting to be expressed. Your job is simply to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, to live from that state, and to allow the universe to take care of the details. So, my dear friends, as you leave here tonight, I urge you to embrace the final stretch with joy and anticipation. Don't see it as a struggle, but as the thrilling conclusion to the story you've been writing. Use your mighty imagination to assume the state of your vision realized. Feel the naturalness of being or having what you desire. Live from this state. Persist in this assumption and watch as the universe rearranges itself to match your inner vision. Remember, you are not a helpless being pushed around by external turmoil. You are the operant power in your world. Your consciousness is the one and only reality. All things are possible to him who believes, for belief shapes reality. In the final stretch, this belief becomes your guiding light, leading you unerringly to the realization of your vision. Go forth from here with this knowledge. Apply it in your life. Test it, prove it to yourself. For in doing so, you'll discover the truth of who you really are. You'll tap into the limitless power that has always been within you. And you'll experience the joy, the freedom, the fulfillment that comes from living in alignment with the laws of creation. The world is waiting for you, my friends, not as something to struggle towards, but as something to be embraced now, in this very moment. It's waiting for you to recognize your true power, to step into your divine nature, to become the person who has already realized your vision. The final stretch is not a distance to be covered, but a state to be assumed. So assume it now. Feel the reality of your vision as vividly as you can. Let this feeling permeate every aspect of your being. For in truth, the final stretch is simply the moment of transition between your inner assumption and its outer manifestation. It is the bridge between the invisible and the visible, crossed by the power of your unwavering faith and persistent imagination. Remember, the kingdom of heaven is within you. The power to shape your reality is within you. You are the miracle you've been waiting for. Embrace this truth, live from it, and watch as your world transforms before your eyes. The final stretch is not the end of your journey, but the beginning of a new way of being. As you navigate this final stretch, you may encounter moments of doubt or disbelief. This is natural. Your old patterns of thought and feeling will try to reassert themselves. When this happens, do not fight against these doubts. Simply observe them, acknowledge them, and then gently return to your assumed state. Persistence is key. The more you practice living from the end, the more natural it will become, and the more swiftly you will move through the final stretch to the realization of your vision. Go forth now, my dear friends, and apply this principle in your lives. Embrace the final stretch with confidence and joy. Feel the reality of your vision now before any external evidence appears. Live from that state, persist in that assumption, and watch as the world rearranges itself to match your inner vision. For this is the true secret to navigating the final stretch. And it is the key to realizing the grandest vision you hold for your life.
What if I told you that everything you've ever dreamed of, wealth, success, and a life of abundance, can become your reality with just the power of your mind? It might sound like magic, but it's not. This is the transformative power of visualization, a practice that has changed countless lives and can change yours too. In this video, we'll uncover the secrets behind the law of assumption, a profound concept taught by Neville Goddard, one of the most influential spiritual teachers of all time. Neville's teachings go beyond the surface of positive thinking. They reveal a step-by-step process to manifest anything you desire by simply assuming it's already yours. Stay with us, because we'll not only explain the fascinating psychology behind this law, but also show you exactly how to use it in your life. From understanding why the mind struggles to distinguish between reality and imagination, to learning how to shift your mindset into wealth consciousness, this video will empower you to take control of your destiny. We'll also share lesser-known insights from Neville's teachings that could be the missing link in your journey to financial freedom. Whether you're new to the law of assumption or looking for deeper clarity, this is your guide to turning your visualizations into reality. Vision. Welcome to Limitless Mindset, the channel where we explore the untapped potential of your mind to create the life you deserve. If you're ready to unlock the secrets of manifestation and transform your life, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Let's dive into the incredible power of visualization and how it can help you achieve wealth beyond your wildest dreams. Before we talk about how to manifest wealth, let's first understand the foundation of this process, the law of assumption. This concept is both simple and profound. It is the belief that assuming a desired state as true, deep in your mind and emotions, will bring that state into your reality. In essence, what you believe and feel to be true becomes your experience. The law of assumption works on the principle that your subconscious mind is the creator of your reality. It does not judge or analyze, it simply accepts what you feed it. When you assume a particular state, whether it's wealth, success, or happiness, your subconscious mind begins to align your external circumstances to match this assumption. This is why changing your inner world is the key to changing your outer world. Neville Goddard, a pioneer of this teaching, explained that imagination is the most powerful tool we have. He believed that everything you experience in life is a result of your imagination. According to Neville, you must imagine the fulfillment of your desire as if it has already happened. It's not enough to think about what you want. You must feel it deeply. The emotions of joy, gratitude, and satisfaction are the triggers that activate the law of assumption. Neville often emphasized the importance of living in the end. This means that instead of hoping for your desires to come true, you act and feel as though they already have. For example, If you desire wealth, visualize yourself living a wealthy life. See the details, hear the sounds, and most importantly, feel the emotions. Your imagination must be so vivid and convincing that it becomes your new reality internally. This process might seem abstract, but it is grounded in the way the mind works. The subconscious cannot differentiate between real events and vividly imagined ones. When you persist in assuming and feeling the state you desire, your subconscious begins to reshape your actions, decisions, and circumstances to bring that desire into existence. This is where the magic of the law of assumption truly lies. Before we talk about applying the law of assumption, it's essential to understand one of its most powerful tools, visualization. Visualization is the practice of creating vivid mental images of a desired outcome, allowing these images to influence your thoughts, emotions, and ultimately your reality. It's more than daydreaming. It's a deliberate and focused process designed to reshape your inner world. When it comes to manifesting desires, especially wealth, visualization plays a central role. By imagining yourself in a state of financial abundance, you begin to shift your mindset and energy. This shift isn't just motivational, it's transformational. You start to see opportunities where others see obstacles. You approach challenges with confidence instead of fear. Your mental imagery becomes the blueprint for the reality your subconscious mind starts working to create. The psychological basis of visualization is fascinating. Studies have shown that the brain cannot distinguish between real experiences and vividly imagined ones. For instance, when you visualize yourself achieving a goal, the same neural pathways are activated, as if you were actually experiencing it. This creates a mental rehearsal that conditions your brain to believe the imagined scenario is possible, even inevitable. This phenomenon is why athletes, performers, and successful individuals often use visualization to prepare for success. For example, a runner might visualize crossing the finish line first, feeling the wind, hearing the cheers, and experiencing the rush of victory. This process programs the mind for success, increasing their confidence and focus in the real event. In the context of wealth, visualization allows you to align with the energy of abundance. Picture yourself living the life you desire, whether it's a beautiful home, financial freedom, or helping others through your wealth. Imagine it in detail. What does the space look like? What emotions do you feel? The more real the visualization, the stronger its impact on your subconscious mind. This practice is not just about creating positive feelings. It's about convincing your mind that the wealth you desire is already yours. When done consistently, visualization begins to reshape your beliefs, habits, and actions to match this internal reality. In this way, visualization becomes a bridge between your dreams and the life you're building. Before we talk about how to make your visualizations truly effective, it's important to understand the synergy between visualization and the law of assumption. Each of these practices is powerful on its own, but when combined, they create a force that can transform your reality. Visualization gives your mind a clear image of what you desire, while the law of assumption adds the emotional and mental alignment necessary to make it real. The process begins with clarity. You need to clearly define your financial goals. Think about what wealth means to you. Is it a certain amount of money in your account? Is it the freedom to travel, invest, or support loved ones? Be specific. Without a clear goal, your mind has no target to aim for, and the process becomes scattered. Once your goals are defined, bring them to life through visualization. Close your eyes and create a vivid mental picture of your life after achieving these goals. See the details, the environment, the people, the experiences. What does your daily life look like? Engage all your senses. Hear the conversations you would have, feel the texture of the things around you, and immerse yourself fully in this imagined reality. But visualization is not enough by itself. This is where the law of assumption comes in. While visualizing, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Don't just imagine wealth. Feel what it's like to already be wealthy. Experience the relief, joy, and gratitude that come with financial freedom. This emotional state is what communicates to your subconscious that the desired reality is already true. The key is consistency. Maintaining this assumption is critical. It's not about pretending or forcing yourself to believe. Instead, it's about gently guiding your mind back to this feeling every time doubt or negativity arises. Revisit your visualization often, especially during quiet moments like before sleep or right after waking up, when your mind is most receptive. By combining the vivid imagery of visualization with the emotional alignment of the law of assumption, you create a powerful mental and emotional blueprint. This blueprint influences your thoughts, behaviors, and even the opportunities that come your way, paving the path for your financial goals to materialize. Before we talk about the results of manifesting wealth, let's focus on the practical steps you can take to make this process work in your life. Manifestation isn't just about thinking positively or wishing for change. It's about taking intentional, consistent actions that align your mind, emotions, and energy with your financial goals. The first step is to set clear financial intentions. Be specific about what you want to achieve. Instead of saying, "I want to be rich," define the exact amount of money you want to have, the lifestyle you wish to live, or the financial milestones you want to reach. Clarity provides direction and gives your subconscious mind a clear goal to focus on. Once your intentions are set, daily visualization practices become essential. Start with meditation to calm and focus your mind. Find a quiet place where you can close your eyes and visualize your financial goals vividly. Imagine your bank account showing the exact balance you desire. See yourself living in the home you've always dreamed of, or driving the car you want. Feel the emotions of joy and gratitude as if these goals are already part of your life. Vision boards are another powerful tool to reinforce your visualization. Gather images, words, and symbols that represent your wealth goals and create a visual collage. Place this board where you can see it daily, and spend a few moments each day focusing on it. This keeps your intentions fresh and strengthens your mental alignment. Affirmations are also vital for reprogramming your beliefs. Use positive, present tense statements like, "I am financially free," or "I attract wealth effortlessly." Repeat these affirmations during your visualization sessions or throughout your day to reinforce your belief in your financial abundance. Gratitude is the final step in aligning with abundance. Take time every day to express thanks for the wealth you already have, no matter how small it may seem. Gratitude shifts your focus from lack to abundance, opening your mind and emotions to receive even more. By integrating these practical steps into your daily life, you create a routine that strengthens your belief in wealth, aligns your energy with abundance, and directs your actions toward achieving your financial goals. Before we talk about the rewards of manifesting wealth, it's important to recognize some common pitfalls that can derail the process. Manifestation, especially when applying the law of assumption, requires patience, belief, and focus. Understanding these challenges and knowing how to overcome them is key to staying on track. One of the most common mistakes is doubting the process. It's natural for skepticism to creep in, especially when you don't see immediate results. This doubt can weaken your efforts and send conflicting messages to your subconscious mind. The key is to remind yourself that the process works in its own time. Trust that the seeds you are planting through visualization and assumption will eventually grow. Another pitfall is impatience. Many people start with excitement, but quickly lose faith when results don't show up as quickly as they hoped. Manifestation is not a quick fix. It's a transformation of your inner world that gradually reflects in your outer reality. To counter impatience, focus on the small shifts you notice. Celebrate every step forward, no matter how minor it may seem. And remember that persistence always pays off. Focusing on your current undesirable reality is another trap that can block progress. It's easy to get caught up in what you see around you: financial struggles, bills piling up, or a lack of opportunities. However, dwelling on these circumstances reinforces them in your subconscious. Instead, shift your attention to the reality you're creating. Use your visualization and affirmations to stay anchored in the state of abundance, to maintain faith and persistence. Build habits that support your journey. Create a routine of daily visualization and affirmations, and surround yourself with reminders of your goals like a vision board or inspirational quotes. Journaling can also help you track your progress and reinforce your belief in the process. When doubt or impatience arises, take a moment to pause and realign. Meditation or mindfulness practices can help you refocus on your intentions and calm your mind. Trust that even when results are not visible, changes are happening beneath the surface. By staying aware of these pitfalls and actively working to overcome them, you can ensure that your efforts to manifest wealth remain strong and consistent, paving the way for your success. Before we talk about how these principles can transform your life, let's look at some real-life success stories that prove the power of visualization and the law of assumption. These individuals started with nothing but a vision, belief, and unwavering persistence, and they turned their dreams into reality. One such story is that of Jim Carrey, the world-famous actor and comedian. Long before he became famous, Carrey was struggling to make ends meet. He used visualization and the power of assumption to change his circumstances. Every night he would sit on a hill overlooking Los Angeles and visualize himself as a successful actor. He even wrote himself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered, and dated it 5 years into the future. Remarkably, just before that date, he landed a role in Dumb and Dumber and was paid exactly $10 million. End quote. Another example is Oprah Winfrey, who often speaks about the importance of belief and visualization in her success. Coming from a background of poverty and hardship, she used these principles to envision herself as a successful talk show host and media mogul. Oprah consistently focused on the life she wanted, not the struggles she faced, and her persistence paid off, turning her into one of the most influential women in the world. Countless others have shared similar journeys, including ordinary individuals who used these techniques to achieve financial freedom. Take the story of a small business owner who was drowning in debt. They began practicing daily visualization, imagining their business thriving, their debts cleared, and their bank account growing. By combining this with actionable steps like networking and improving their services, they turned their business around in just a few years. The common thread in all these stories is belief and persistence. Each person held on to their vision, even when their current reality showed no signs of change. They refused to let doubt or impatience derail them. Instead, they trusted the process, consistently visualized their desired outcomes, and acted in alignment with their goals. These stories remind us that the principles of visualization and assumption are not just abstract ideas. They're tools that, when used consistently and with conviction, can reshape lives and create extraordinary results. To lead with will is to become a part of the universe. To wrap things up, we've explored the incredible power of visualization and the law of assumption to manifest wealth and transform your life. We began by understanding how these principles work, focusing on the synergy between creating mental images and assuming the reality of your desires. We delved into practical steps, such as setting clear intentions, daily visualization, affirmations, and practicing gratitude, to align your mind and emotions with abundance. We also addressed common pitfalls like doubt and impatience, and shared real-life success stories that highlight the magic of belief and persistence. Now, it's your turn to take these principles and apply them in your life. Start by defining your financial goals. Visualize them daily, and assume the feeling of already having achieved them. Remember, the key is consistency and faith in the process. Even if results take time, stay committed and trust that your reality is shifting in ways you cannot yet see. You have the power to create the life you desire. All it takes is a clear vision, a belief in your ability to succeed, and the persistence to keep moving forward. Visualize, assume, and manifest your wealth into reality. If you found this video inspiring, give it a thumbs up and share it with others who might benefit from this knowledge. Don't forget to subscribe to Limitless Mindset for more insights on unlocking the full potential of your mind. Together, let's create lives of abundance and fulfillment. Thank you for watching.
My dear wonderful friends, tonight we will explore one of the most powerful yet misunderstood principles in the art of manifestation, the divine law of silence and selective association. Many of you have come to me asking, Neville, why do my manifestations sometimes fail? Or why do things seem to fall apart just when they're about to succeed? Tonight I will share with you a profound truth that will transform your understanding of the law. Let me begin by telling you why silence is not merely the absence of speech, but the very foundation of your creative power. In Scripture we read, "Be still and know that I am God." This stillness, this divine silence, is not a mere suggestion. It is the very secret of creation itself. Consider how God created the world. Did He announce His intentions to anyone? Did He seek validation or approval? No, my dear friends, in the depths of silence, in the quiet of His own being. He spoke the words, "Let there be," and it was done. This is your pattern. This is your blueprint. Iron Metal came to me in New York. She had been trying to manifest a specific position in her company, a position that seemed impossible to obtain given her current status. She had told everyone about her desire, seeking advice, validation, and support. For months, nothing happened. Then she heard this principle of silence and everything changed. She did something remarkable. She cut off all discussion of her desire. She stopped seeking opinion, stopped announcing her intentions, and most importantly, she went into what I call the sacred silence. Within 3 weeks, not only was she offered the position she desired, but she was offered an even better one she hadn't even imagined possible. You see, when you speak of your desires to others, you are diffusing your creative power. Every time you discuss your intentions, you are releasing the pressure of the creative force. That should be building within you. It's like puncturing a balloon before it's fully inflated. The air escapes and the balloon never reaches its intended form. Let me share with you what I call the law of sacred silence. This law states that every desire has its own gestation period, just as every seed has its own time of growth. When you plant a seed in the ground, you dig it up every day to check its progress. You tell everyone about the seed you've planted and ask their opinion on whether it will grow. Of course not. You plant it in the silence of the earth and let it grow undisturbed. Your desires are spiritual seeds, and your consciousness is the soil in which they grow. Every time you speak of your desires to others, you are essentially digging up your seed to show it to the world. How can it grow if you don't give it the silence it needs to take root? But tonight I want to take you deeper than you've ever gone before into understanding why cutting all contacts is equally crucial to your manifestation. This is not about isolation. It's about insulation. Then you must insulate your consciousness from the doubts, fears, and limiting beliefs of others. Consider the story of Noah. Before the flood came, he was instructed to enter the ark and seal it. This is not a historical account, but a psychological drama playing out in consciousness. The arc represents your consciousness, and sealing it represents cutting off contact with all that would disturb your assumption of the wish fulfilled. Many of you maintain relationships and connections that constantly pull you back into old states of consciousness. Try to rise to a new level of being while staying connected to those who know you as you were, not as you desire to be. This is like trying to fly while keeping your feet chained to the ground. Let me tell you about a student of mine who understood this principle perfectly. He desired to move from poverty to wealth, but he realized that his daily associations were keeping him anchored in the consciousness of lack. His friends, though well-meaning, constantly spoke of limitations, of how difficult it was to make money, of how the economy was against them. He made a bold decision. He temporarily cut all contacts that reinforced the old state of poverty consciousness. He didn't do this unkindly or abruptly, but he quietly withdrew from circles that kept him tied to the old state. Instead of spending evenings discussing lack with his usual companions, he went into silence and lived in the assumption of his wish fulfilled. The results were extraordinary. Within 6 months, his entire financial reality transformed. But notice something crucial. He didn't announce his intentions to withdraw. He didn't make declarations about cutting contacts. He simply did it. In silence, with the same naturalness with which you would close the door to keep out the cold. Now let me share with you what I call the 3 chambers of silence. The first chamber is physical silence, the cessation of speaking about your desires. The second chamber is mental silence, the quieting of internal chatter and doubt. The third chamber and most profound is spiritual silence, the complete surrender to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Many of you enter the first chamber easily enough. You can stop talking about your desires. Some of you even master the second chamber controlling your thoughts, but it's the third where the real power lies. In this chamber can only be entered when you've cut the ties that bind you to your old state. Think of Lot's wife in Scripture. She was told not to look back at the city she was leaving. This is not a story about physical geography. It's about consciousness. When you're moving into a new state of being, you cannot keep looking back at the old state or maintaining connections with those who are not old state. Let me tell you about the law of state resonance. Everything and everyone in your life is a reflection of the state you occupy. When you try to enter a new state, while maintaining connections with those who resonate with your old state, you create a psychological conflict that prevents your complete transformation. I recall a gentleman in Los Angeles who desired to become a renowned author. He had talent, he had ideas, but he remained stuck in obscurity. Why? Because he kept himself surrounded by people who knew him as a struggling writer. Their very presence in his life kept him anchored to that state of struggle. One day, after hearing these principles, he did something that seemed drastic to others, but was perfectly natural to him. He cut all contacts with his writing group, stopped attending literary gatherings where people complained about how hard it was to get published, and went into complete silence about his work. Instead of discussing his book with others, he lived in the silence of his completed wish. He would walk into bookstores and quietly see his book on the shelves. He would silently feel the weight of his published work in his hands. He stopped seeking validation, stopped asking for opinions, and most importantly, stopped connecting with those who knew him as anything less than a successful author. Here's what you must understand about the power of cutting contacts. It's not about avoiding people. It's about avoiding states. Every person in your life represents a state of consciousness. When you maintain connections with those who know you in your old state, you're making it infinitely harder to fully occupy your new state. Consider the biblical instruction. Come out from among them and be ye separate. This is not about physical separation, but about separating yourself from states that contradict your desire. When you truly understand this, you'll see why maintaining certain contacts keeps you bound to states you're trying to leave. Let me introduce you to what I call the principle of state solidarity. This principle states that your consciousness naturally seeks alignment with the predominant consciousness of those around you. This is why being around people who knew in your old state makes it challenging to maintain your new assumption. Think of it like tuning a radio. You're trying to tune into the frequency of your desire, but the old contacts in your life keep pulling the dial back to the old frequency. The solution is not to fight against this pulling. The solution is to remove yourself from the range of the old frequency entirely. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Neville, isn't it selfish to cut contacts with people? Let me tell you something profound. You're not cutting contact with people. You're cutting contact with states. When you successfully establish yourself in your new state, you'll find that some of these people will either transform with you or naturally fall away. Let me share with you what I call the law of silent transformation. When a caterpillar enters its cocoon, it doesn't announce its transformation. It doesn't seek approval from other caterpillars. It doesn't maintain connections with its caterpillar life in perfect silence. In complete isolation, it undergoes its magnificent transformation. This is your pattern. When you're transforming into a new state of consciousness, you must enter your own psychological cocoon. This is why silence and cutting contacts are not just helpful suggestions. They are spiritual imperatives. I remember a woman in my New York lectures who desired marriage. She had been dating for years, constantly discussing her relationships with friends, always seeking advice, always maintaining connections with people who knew her as the single friend. She was constantly in what I call the state of seeking. After learning these principles, she did something revolutionary. She cut all contacts with her dating circles, stopped discussing relationships entirely, and withdrew from the constant social commentary about her love life. Instead, she went into complete silence and lived in the assumption of being happily married. Her friends thought she had become antisocial. Some even criticized her for withdrawing, but she understood something they didn't. She couldn't become the woman she desired to be while maintaining connections that kept her in the state of seeking. Here's what you must understand about the power of silence. It's not merely the absence of noise, it's the presence of power. When you go into silence about your desires, when you cut contacts with those who know you as you were, you are creating a vacuum in consciousness. And nature abhors a vacuum? Let me introduce you to the 4 stages of silent creation. The first stage is recognition, recognizing that your current contacts and conversations are keeping you bound to your old state. The second stage is withdrawal, quietly removing yourself from environments and relationships that reinforce the old state. The third stage is silence, maintaining complete silence about your transformation. The fourth stage is emergence, naturally revealing your new state once it's fully embodied. Most people fail because they try to skip stages. They recognize the need for change, but maintain all their old contacts. They try to withdraw, but keep announcing their withdrawal. They attempt silence, but keep checking if it's working. Remember, a seed doesn't grow faster because you keep checking on it. Consider Joseph in Scripture. When he received his dream of greatness, did he maintain connections with those who knew him as a slave? No, he was separated from all his old contacts, placed in what appeared to be adverse circumstances. But these very circumstances were preparing him for his transformation. This brings us to what I call the principle of sacred separation. Just as a pregnant woman carries her unborn child in the silence and privacy of her jatsam, you must carry your desire in the silence and privacy of your consciousness. Every time you discuss it, every time you maintain contact with those who doubt it, you're exposing your unborn desire to harmful elements. Let me tell you about a businessman who came to me in desperate circumstances. His company was failing, and he had been constantly discussing his problems with everyone who would listen. His entire network consisted of people who knew him as the owner of a struggling business. I shared with him these principles, and he understood them at a deep level. He stopped attending business networking events where people discussed market difficulties. He cut contacts with his commiseration circle, those friends who gathered to share business troubles. He went into complete silence about his company's status. Instead of seeking advice, he sought silence. Instead of maintaining connections that reinforced failure, he insulated his consciousness. In the assumption of success to the outside world, he seemed to have become a recluse. But in the silence of his consciousness, a transformation was taking place. What happened next illustrates perfectly what I call the law of silent attraction. Within 3 months, his business began attracting opportunities that had been there all along but were invisible to him while he was in the state of struggle and constant discussion. You see, when you're constantly talking about your problems, constantly maintaining contacts with those who reinforce your limitations, you're blind to the opportunities surrounding you. Let me share with you the deeper metaphysical reason why silence and cutting contacts are so crucial. In Scripture we read, "In returning and rest shall ye be saved. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength." This is not merely poetic language, it's a precise description of the law of consciousness. Thank you for listening. When you maintain silence and cut contacts with the old state, you're doing something profound. You're creating what I call a consciousness vacuum. Nature must fill this vacuum, but it can only fill it with whatever corresponds to your assumed state. Consider this principle. Every person in your life is a mirror reflecting back to you your state of consciousness. When you maintain contacts with those who knew you in your old state, you're constantly being reminded of who you were, not who you desire to be. This is why cutting contacts is not an act of rejection, but an act of spiritual wisdom. I remember a teacher who came to me. She had been trying to manifest a position at a prestigious university, but she kept herself surrounded by colleagues who knew her as a struggling substitute teacher. Every conversation, every interaction, every relationship reinforced her current state. She understood these principles and did something that seemed radical to others. She quietly withdrew from her regular social circles. She stopped attending teachers' gatherings where the conversation centered around limited opportunities. She cut contact with those who consistently reminded her of her current circumstances. Instead, she went into what I call the silence of assumption. In this silence, free from the constant reinforcement of her old state, she lived completely in the assumption of being a distinguished professor. She didn't tell anyone about this inner transformation. She didn't seek validation. She simply lived in the silence of her fulfilled desire. Here's what you must understand about the power of sacred insulation. When you isolate yourself from influences that contradict your desired state, you're not being antisocial, you're being spiritually wise. Just as a scientist must create a controlled environment for certain experiments, a controlled environment in consciousness for your transformation. Let me introduce you to what I call the 7 seals of silence. The first seal is physical withdrawal, removing yourself from environments that reinforce the old state. The second seal is social disconnection, cutting contacts with those who know you only as you were. The third seal is conversational silence, refusing to discuss your transformation or desire. The fourth seal is mental quietude, silencing the internal dialogue about your past state. The fifth seal is emotional stillness, maintaining calm confidence in your assumption. The sixth seal is spiritual insulation, protecting your consciousness from doubt and disbelief. The seventh seal is complete absorption, living entirely in the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Each of these seals must be maintained if you wish to complete your transformation. Wrecking even one seal can allow the old state to seep back into your consciousness. Consider the biblical story of the 3 wise men. After they saw the Christ child, they were warned in a dream not to return to Herod. This is a psychological truth. Once you've conceived your new stake, seeing the Christ child, you must not return to the old stake, Herod. You must take another way home. Now let me share with you what I call the ultimate law of silent achievement. When you understand this law, you'll never again question the power of silence and selective contact. Every great achievement in history, every significant transformation has followed this pattern of silence and sacred isolation. Think of Jesus going into the wilderness for 40 days. Think of Buddha leaving his palace in social circles. Think of every great inventor, artist or visionary who withdrew from society to birth their creation. This is not coincidence, it's law. Let me tell you about my own experience with this principle. When I first discovered these truths, I didn't announce them to the world. I went into silence. I cut contacts with those who knew me as the old man. In that silence, in that sacred isolation, I experienced what I call the great knowing. Here's what you must do starting tonight. First, make a solemn covenant with yourself, a covenant of silence. No more discussing your desires, your plans, your transformations with anyone. Second, begin what I call the great withdrawal, systematically cutting contacts with those who hold you in your old state. But remember, this is not about physical isolation, it's about state isolation. You're not rejecting people, you're rejecting states of consciousness that no longer serve your transformation. I'll share with you the 5 commands of silent power. Thou shalt not speak of thy desire to anyone. Thou shalt cut all contacts that anchor thee to the old state. Thou shalt live completely in the silence of thy wish fulfilled. Thou shalt not return to check on thy progress. Thou shalt maintain thy silence until thy manifestation is complete. These commands are not suggestions, they are spiritual laws that must be obeyed if you wish to transform your reality. Consider this final principle I call the law of silent emergence. Just as a butterfly emerges from its cocoon, only when its transformation is complete, you should only re-emerge into the world, when your new state is fully embodied. Let me tell you about the 3 signs of complete transformation. First, when your new state feels more natural than your old state. Second, when maintaining silence requires no effort. Third, when your old contacts naturally fall away or transform to match your new state. Remember, my dear friends, that silence is not the absence of sound, it's the presence of power. Cutting contacts is not the absence of relationship, it's the presence of spiritual wisdom. As we conclude tonight's talk, I want to leave you with this final truth. Your world is your consciousness pushed out. Every person, every circumstance, every condition in your life is there because of the state you occupy. When you change your state in silence, when you cut contacts with the old state, you automatically change your world. Go forth now in doubt, not in fear, but in the absolute knowing that as you maintain your silence, as you cut contacts with the old state, your transformation must manifest. It's law. Remember these words from Scripture. Be still and know that I am God. This stillness, this silence, this sacred isolation, this is your path to transformation. And now, my dear wonderful friends, as we close this evening, take with you this solemn truth. Your silence is your power. Your withdrawal from the old state is your pathway to the new. Maintain this silence, maintain this sacred isolation, and watch as your world transforms to match your silent assumption. For in the end, it is not in the noise of the world, but in the silence of your consciousness that all things are created. It is not in maintaining old contacts, but in sacred isolation, that transformation occurs. Go now in silence and confidence in the absolute knowing that what you desire is already yours. For in consciousness all things are possible to him who believes and maintains the silence of that belief. Good night and God bless you all.
To manifest your desires at a speed and ease you've never experienced before, there is one simple, profound shift you must make. It all begins with the way you speak to yourself. Words, thoughts, and feelings are the very fabric of your reality. What you say, think, and feel about yourself determines what you experience. And if you want to accelerate the manifestation of your desires by 10x, then you must learn how to speak to yourself in the language of success, abundance, and fulfillment. Now, I want you to understand this crucial truth. The universe is constantly responding to the vibrations you emit. These vibrations are primarily determined by your thoughts and feelings, and in turn your words are powerful. They are not just a tool for communication. They are tools for creation. The words you speak about yourself, to yourself and to others are painting the canvas of your life. So if you are not manifesting as quickly or as powerfully as you desire, the simple answer lies in how you speak to yourself. Think about the things you say when you're not paying attention. When you're feeling down, you might say, I'm never going to get what I want. Or perhaps this is too hard. Or I'm not good enough for that. Those words send out an energetic signal to the universe, affirming lack, limitation, and struggle. Every time you say something like this, you are essentially reaffirming the reality you don't want. But what if you could reframe that self-talk? What if you could speak to yourself in a way that not only reflects your desire, but also aligns with the certainty that your desire is already yours? You can. And by doing so, you will increase the speed of your manifestations exponentially. The secret, as Neville Goddard would say, lies in living in the end. To manifest faster, you must not speak from a place of longing or lack. You must speak from a place of having already received your desire. When you speak to yourself, let it be as if the manifestation has already occurred. Feel the emotions of already having it. Feel the joy, the excitement, the sense of fulfillment. Speak with authority and belief as if your words are the most powerful commands in the universe, because they are. For example, instead of saying, "I hope I get the job," you would say, "I am so grateful for my new job. It's everything I've ever wanted." Do you see the difference? One is filled with uncertainty, the other with absolute certainty. Instead of saying, "I will be successful," say, "I am already successful." Feel it, speak it, believe it. Now this might feel unnatural at first. Your old habits of doubt and self-criticism may try to creep in, but the key is to persist. Neville Goddard teaches that persistence in the assumption of your desired state is what brings it to pass. The more you speak to yourself in this way, the more natural it will become. And with practice, it will become second nature. But let's go even deeper. If you truly want to accelerate your manifestations, you must not only change what you say, but also how you say it. The tone, the energy behind the words you speak is just as important as the words themselves. When you say something to yourself, let it be with emotion. Let it be with passion. Let it be with the kind of energy that you would have if you were receiving your desire in the physical world right now. Imagine you've just won the lottery. How would you speak to yourself? How would you think? Your thoughts and words would be filled with excitement, joy, and gratitude. Now apply that same excitement, that same emotion to your current desires. Speak as if you are living in that reality right now. The emotional charge behind your words is what fuels the manifestation process. The more you feel the emotion of having it already, the faster it comes to you. The next key to manifesting 10x faster is the understanding of the power of self-concept. What you believe about yourself, you create. The more you speak to yourself as the person who already has what they want, the more you reinforce that identity within yourself. And as you continue to reinforce this identity, you will start to naturally take actions and make decisions that are in alignment with that new identity. When you say to yourself, "I am wealthy," don't just think of the words. Imagine yourself in a wealthy scenario. Picture yourself in the home of your dreams. Feel the abundance surrounding you. Imagine the freedom and joy that come with being financially free. Speak to yourself from this identity. If you want to manifest love, speak to yourself as someone who is already deeply loved and cherished. Don't wait for the outside world to reflect this to you. Speak it, feel it, and watch how it becomes your reality. In his teachings, Neville Goddard emphasizes the importance of imagination in the creative process. When you speak to yourself in this new way, use your imagination. Visualize your desired outcome as you speak your words. The act of speaking your new reality while vividly imagining it brings it into your experience at a rapid pace. Now let's talk about the importance of inner dialogue. The words you speak to yourself when you are alone, when you are reflecting, when you are in your own company, are the most powerful words you can speak. This is where the real work lies. Many people may speak positively to others, but when they are alone, they fall back into old habits of self-doubt and fear. To manifest faster, you must speak to yourself as if you are the person who already has what they desire, even when no one is watching. This is where the magic happens. When you find yourself in moments of doubt or fear, quickly correct your inner dialogue. Do not allow negative thoughts to take hold. When you catch yourself saying, "I can't do this," immediately replace it with, "I am more than capable of achieving anything I set my mind to." When you catch yourself thinking, "I don't have enough money," replace that thought with, "Money flows to me easily and effortlessly." What you focus on expands. So when you focus on your desire, when you speak of it with love, certainty, and enthusiasm, you are drawing it closer to you. The energy you put into your words is a magnet that attracts your desire into your reality. The next step is to understand the importance of affirmations. Affirmations are powerful tools for manifesting, but only when they are spoken with genuine feeling. The words "I am rich" or "I am successful" will not bring you anything unless you feel them deeply. So when you use affirmations, make sure you feel the truth of those words in every fiber of your being. Speak them with conviction. Feel them with passion. Imagine them being true in this very moment. For example, if you are affirming wealth, close your eyes and see yourself in your ideal financial situation. Feel the emotions of joy, relief, and excitement. Speak the affirmation "I am financially abundant" and truly feel it in your heart. Let the words flow from you as if they are already true. The more you speak with this kind of feeling, the more rapidly your manifestations will come. It's also essential to release the need for how and when things will manifest. One of the biggest blocks to rapid manifestation is trying to control the process. We often get so caught up in the how and when that we end up sabotaging our progress. Instead, speak with complete trust that the universe knows the best way to bring your desires to you. Trust in the timing of your manifestation. When you speak to yourself, speak with the belief that everything is working out perfectly, even if you can't yet see the evidence of it. You must also remember the power of gratitude in your speech. As you speak to yourself about your desires, always speak with gratitude as if it has already come to pass. Gratitude is a powerful magnet for attracting more of what you want. Speak to yourself as though your manifestation is a gift already received, and feel the gratitude in every word. Let's now discuss consistency. The key to manifesting 10x faster is consistency. The more you speak to yourself in this new way, the quicker your desires will materialize. Don't just speak this way for a day or two and expect miracles to happen. Make it a daily practice. Speak to yourself with conviction, with passion, with the certainty that your words are creating your reality. The more consistent you are, the faster your manifestations will come. Every day, speak as if you are already living the life you desire. Say it out loud. Say it in your mind. Say it with emotion. Speak to yourself like you are already the person who has what you desire. The faster you begin to believe this truth, the faster the universe will mirror it back to you. The final key to manifesting 10x faster is to believe in the process. Trust that your words have the power to create your reality. When you speak with certainty and feeling, you are not just speaking words, you are commanding your reality. The universe is always listening. It is always responding. Speak to yourself as if you have the power to manifest everything you desire, because you do. If you want to manifest your desires faster than ever before, it all starts with how you speak to yourself. Your words are the key to unlocking the door to your dreams. Speak with belief, speak with emotion, speak with the certainty that your desires are already yours. Trust the process. And as you do, watch as your reality shifts and transforms, bringing your desires into your experience faster than you ever thought possible. Speak to yourself like this, and you will manifest 10x faster. As you continue to refine the way you speak to yourself, let me remind you that you are constantly in a state of creation. Every moment you exist, your words and thoughts are actively shaping the world around you. But remember, it is not just the words themselves that matter, it is the state of consciousness from which those words arise. The feeling, the vibration that is being transmitted through your speech is what moves the universe. If you speak in fear, in doubt, or in a state of lack, the universe responds to that and reflects it back to you. So when you speak in alignment with your desires, not only do you speak the words of your desires, but you must speak them from a place of deep knowing. You know it's already done. You are not wishing for something, you are not hoping for something, you are affirming the reality that you are already living it. In this state, your desires are no longer distant or unattainable. They are already yours. This is where most people trip themselves up. They ask for something, but they doubt it can come. They say the words, but there is a disconnect between the words and their inner belief. But when you say, "I am abundant," feel the abundance in every fiber of your being. Let the very core of your being vibrate with the certainty that this is the truth. When you say, "I am loved," let that feeling of love fill every part of your body.
When you say, "I am successful," see the success in your life, feel the success in your bones, and speak it as though it is an undeniable truth. By doing this, you are no longer just speaking affirmations, you are stepping into the energy of your desired reality. You are becoming that version of yourself who already has it. This is the true power of self-talk. When you speak to yourself in this way, not only do you convince your subconscious mind that it is already true, but you also align with the universe's vibrational frequency that matches your desires. This is where the magic happens. The more you practice this, the quicker you will see the results. The universe is not a distant force, it is intimately connected to you and responsive to every word, every thought, every feeling you have. As you begin to speak to yourself as though your desires have already been fulfilled, the universe will adjust itself accordingly. Opportunities will start appearing. People will begin to show up, your circumstances will shift. All because you are speaking the language of the life you want to live. But here's the key, persistence is everything. It's easy to speak to yourself this way for a day or two, especially when things are going well, but what happens when obstacles arise? What happens when you face a setback or encounter resistance? This is where true power lies. To manifest 10x faster, you must continue speaking to yourself as though the manifestation is already here, even when the evidence is not yet visible. Neville Goddard emphasized that we must not be swayed by appearances. Your outer world will reflect your inner state, but it will not always do so immediately. In fact, there will be times when it seems as though the opposite is happening. That is the time when you must stand firm in your self-talk. Speak to yourself from the knowing that your desires are already here. Do not be moved by temporary circumstances. Trust in the process and speak as if the manifestation is already unfolding. This persistence in the assumption of your desired reality will eventually cause the outer world to conform. It is like planting a seed in the ground. At first there is no sign of growth, but you continue to water it, nurture it, and believe in the process. Over time, the seed breaks through the soil and begins to grow. The same is true for your manifestations. Your words are the water and the nurturing force that cause your desires to sprout and grow. Don't think that you need to say these things only when you're alone, or only in a meditative state. You can speak to yourself in this way all throughout the day. As you walk through your day, affirm your desires. As you encounter challenges, reaffirm your beliefs. You can be speaking to yourself in your mind while you're going about your tasks, and it will still have the same powerful effect. The more you do this, the more you will program your subconscious mind to align with your desires. The subconscious mind does not differentiate between what is real and what is imagined. It simply accepts the thoughts and beliefs you continuously feed it. The beauty of this practice is that you are not waiting for external circumstances to change before you change your speech. You are changing your speech first, and that is what changes the circumstances. You are the creator of your reality, and your words are the tool that you use to bring your visions into being. Speak with power, speak with confidence, speak with the certainty that your desires are already manifesting. As you continue to practice this way of speaking to yourself, it becomes not just a technique, but a way of life. Speaking this way will become as natural as breathing. You will no longer need to consciously remind yourself to affirm your desires, because you will already be living in the end. Your words will align effortlessly with the life you are creating. The speed of your manifestations will increase, and the process will begin to feel effortless. As you align your inner speech with your desires, remember to also align your actions. You will begin to feel inspired to take steps that are in harmony with your desired reality. These actions will not feel forced, they will feel natural, as though you are simply following the flow of your own internal guidance. The key here is to trust that as you speak to yourself with confidence and clarity, the universe will guide you to take the necessary actions to bring your desires into physical form. The more you trust the power of your words, the more you will see evidence of their power in your life. Manifestation is not a difficult process. It is simply the process of aligning your inner world with your outer world, and your words are the bridge that connects the two. Speak with intention, speak with belief, and speak with emotion. Speak to yourself as if the life you desire is already yours, and the universe will reflect it back to you. You are a master creator. And the words you speak are the keys to unlocking the door to your dreams. Speak to yourself like this, and watch as the doors of manifestation open wide, bringing everything you've ever desired into your experience at a speed and ease you never thought possible. The universe is waiting to respond to your words, and it is waiting for you to claim the life you desire. Speak to yourself with power, speak to yourself with certainty, and speak to yourself with love. The world is yours to create. As you continue to speak to yourself with this level of power and certainty, you'll notice that not only will your external circumstances begin to shift, but you'll also begin to change from within. Your self-concept will evolve, and you will start embodying the qualities of the person who already has their desires. This transformation is subtle, but it is profound. The more you speak to yourself in alignment with your desires, the more you will start acting in ways that match your new self-concept. Remember, the power of speech is not limited to spoken words. It extends to the inner dialogue as well. The thoughts that run silently through your mind. Your internal conversations are just as important as what you say out loud, because your subconscious mind is always listening. If you are speaking to yourself in your mind as though your desires are already yours, this reinforces the new beliefs you are cultivating. If, for instance, you are manifesting a new career, your internal dialogue might sound like, "I am so happy and grateful for my new job. Every day, I step into my role with confidence and excitement. This job is everything I've ever wanted and more." When you say this, do you feel the excitement? Can you see yourself already in that position, working in an environment that brings you joy and fulfillment? That is the secret. Feeling the emotions of the desired state as if it's already happening. Another key point is to be mindful of the language you use when you are interacting with others. While self-talk is essential, how you speak about your desires to others is also important. When you speak about your dreams, do so with enthusiasm and certainty. Never speak about your desires with doubt or hesitation. When you tell someone about your goals, speak as if they are already in progress or already complete. For example, if you are manifesting a relationship, you might say to a friend, "I am so happy and grateful for the loving relationship I'm in. My partner and I share a deep, fulfilling connection." Even if this hasn't manifested yet, speaking this way tells the universe, "I am ready and I know it is already coming." By continuing to speak in this way, both to yourself and to others, you reinforce the belief that what you want is already yours. And this belief becomes a magnetic force that attracts your desires into your experience. The power of words works both ways. When you speak with conviction to others, you send out a signal that tells the universe you are certain, confident, and aligned with your desires. Your words become an extension of your belief system, further solidifying your intentions and drawing your desires closer. One of the biggest breakthroughs in manifestation comes when you fully accept that your desires are not something to be earned, sought after, or struggled for. They are a natural extension of who you already are. When you speak from this truth, your desires no longer feel like something outside of you. They become an inherent part of your reality, and this deep inner knowing accelerates their manifestation. As you speak to yourself in alignment with this truth, remember that the universe works in mysterious ways. It may not always bring your desires in the way you expect, or within the time frame you envision. However, you must have faith that everything is unfolding perfectly. There will be times when your desire shows up in unexpected forms or through unconventional channels, and it is in these moments that your faith in the process must be unwavering. Speak with certainty, even when the manifestation is still on its way, because you are living in the end result, where it has already occurred. Let go of the need to control the how. The universe knows how to deliver what you desire. Your job is to speak, feel, and act as if it has already been delivered. This is the art of surrendering, not to give up on your desires, but to trust the universe's wisdom in how it will manifest. Trust that what is unfolding is in perfect alignment with your highest good. Speak with the belief that your desires are not just possible, but inevitable. The moment you embrace this unwavering belief, your desires will start to manifest with astonishing speed and ease. Now, as you continue to speak to yourself in this elevated manner, remember that the key to truly manifesting 10x faster lies in living in the emotional state of having your desires now. Speak from the place of fulfillment. from the place of already having received everything you desire. If you speak from the mindset of lack, you are inadvertently slowing the process. Instead, speak from the perspective of abundance. Feel the joy of having it already. Speak as though every wish has been fulfilled and live in that emotional vibration. When you do this, the universe responds with lightning speed. As you get more comfortable with this practice, you will also notice how your perception of reality begins to shift. The world around you will start to reflect your new beliefs. People, opportunities, and circumstances will shift to match the vibration of your desires. But remember, it all starts with your internal speech. Speak the words of your desired reality, feel the emotions of your desired reality, and the universe will follow suit. The key to manifesting 10x faster is the consistent practice of speaking to yourself with love, certainty, and the knowing that what you desire is already on its way. Every thought, every word, every feeling is a step closer to bringing your desires into physical form. And when you do this with unwavering conviction, your desires will flow to you faster than you ever thought possible. Do not underestimate the power of your inner dialogue. It is the very force that shapes your experience. When you speak to yourself in a way that reflects your desired reality, the universe has no choice but to align with your words. You are the creator of your world, and your words are the blueprint for the life you are building. So as you continue on this journey of manifestation, make a commitment to yourself today. Commit to speaking only words that empower you, that inspire you, that reflect the truth of who you are and what you are capable of. Speak to yourself with love, confidence, and gratitude, knowing that your desires are already on their way. You are the master of your reality, and with the words you speak, you are shaping a life beyond your wildest dreams. In conclusion, the power to manifest anything you desire lies within your ability to speak to yourself with unwavering conviction and belief. Every word you utter, every thought you think, shapes your reality. The universe is always listening, always responding to the energy you project. When you speak as though your desires are already fulfilled, you align yourself with the frequency of abundance, success, and fulfillment. You no longer wait for the world to change before you change your speech. You change your speech, and the world will have no choice but to change in response. Remember, manifestation is not about wishing, hoping, or waiting. It is about becoming. It is about embodying the state of having what you desire now. So from this moment forward, speak to yourself as if everything you want is already yours. Live in the end result. Speak with love, certainty, and gratitude. When you do, you activate the power of the universe to deliver your desires faster than you ever imagined. The truth is simple. You are the creator of your reality, and your words are the magic wand. Speak to yourself like the powerful being you truly are, and watch as your world transforms in ways beyond your wildest dreams. Your manifestation begins the moment you decide to speak it into existence. Speak it, feel it, believe it, and above all, know that it is already yours. This is the key to manifesting 10x faster. The world is waiting for you to claim your greatness. Speak to yourself like this, and nothing will be impossible.
My dear friends, I want to share with you a truth so profound, yet so simple, that it has escaped the notice of the busy and striving world. And that truth is this: relaxation is the key to the fulfillment of every desire. It is not through struggle or effort or worry that you manifest what you seek. It is through the serene assumption of the wish fulfilled. It is in stillness, not striving, that the creative power of your own wonderful human imagination goes to work. You do not need to fight for what is already yours. You only need to assume in quiet confidence that it is already done. And in that calm knowing, in that relaxed assurance, the bridge of incidents begins to form. It is not your work to create the bridge. Your work is to rest in the end. And this rest, this inner Sabbath, is the state of relaxed faith that all things are working together for your good. Now I ask you, what is your desire? Is it love? Is it wealth? Is it recognition? Is it health? Whatever it is, I say to you, it is already yours, if you will dare to assume that it is so. But this assumption must not be tense. You must not clutch at your desire as though it were outside of you, distant
and difficult to grasp. No, my friends, you must relax into it as though you were slipping into a warm bath. You must feel its reality inwardly and allow the feeling to possess you. There is a secret place within you, the silence of your own being, where all creation begins. In that silence you are one with the infinite, and in that stillness, the seed of your assumption is planted. But if you are restless, anxious, or striving, the soil of the mind is agitated, and the seed cannot take root. Only in the calm, relaxed acceptance of your desire as a present fact can it grow into form. You have been told, "Be still and know that I am God." What does this mean? It means that in stillness, in relaxation, you come into alignment with your creative power. You no longer seek outwardly, for you have found the treasure within. You are no longer tossed about by appearances, for you know the truth of your inner state. You are no longer subject to the opinions of the world, for you have assumed your wish fulfilled, and in that assumption you rest. Now do not confuse relaxation with passivity. It is not laziness. It is alert stillness. It is receptive confidence. It is not the sleep of forgetfulness, but the sleep of fulfilled desire. You close your eyes not to escape, but to see more clearly. You turn inward, not to avoid life, but to create it deliberately. And from this sacred place within, you imagine not what could be, but what already is. Imagine now that your desire is fulfilled. How do you feel? What is your inner state? Let that feeling rise in you. Do not force it. Simply allow it. Let it gently saturate your mind and body like a fragrance. Rest in that mood. Clothe yourself in the atmosphere of your wish fulfilled, and then let it go. Do not strain to hold the image. Simply trust that the imaginal act was planted in the fertile soil of your relaxed awareness. The world is a mirror, my friends. It reflects not what you say, but what you feel. Not what you want, but what you assume. If you go about your day tense, anxious, or desperate for results, then you are declaring, "I do not have what I desire," and the mirror will echo back that state. But if you walk in ease, with a light heart and a quiet confidence, then you are saying, "It is already mine," and the world will conform to that assumption. We must learn to trust the invisible more than the visible, for the visible is only the outpicturing of an earlier state. If you want to change the world around you, you must first change the state within you, and the state that brings forth miracles is one of relaxed certainty. You do not need to convince the universe. You only need to convince yourself, and even that, not with argument or logic, but with feeling. Do you remember a time when something you desired came to you effortlessly? Perhaps you were not even thinking about it. You were relaxed, and in that state of non-resistance, it flowed to you. That is the secret. Not to strive, but to dwell in the end with ease. Not to beg, but to accept. Not to chase, but to receive. I once knew a man who desired success in his business. He worked day and night. He read every book, attended every seminar, and pushed himself to exhaustion. And yet the results eluded him. He came to me in frustration and said, "What am I doing wrong?" I told him, "You are trying too hard. You are pushing against the current. Relax, assume the feeling of success, and then rest in that feeling." At first he resisted. He said, "But won't I lose momentum? Won't I fall behind?" I said, "What you call momentum is tension, and tension repels. What you need is flow, and flow begins in relaxation." So he agreed to try. Each night, he would lie in bed and imagine that his business was thriving. He did not force the images. He simply felt the ease of it, the joy of success, and let that feeling lull him to sleep. Within weeks, opportunities began to appear. Connections were made, clients multiplied, and it all came not through struggle, but through alignment. Your subconscious mind does not respond to pressure. It responds to impression, and impression is made most deeply when the mind is relaxed. That is why the moments before sleep are so powerful. In that drowsy state, the walls of resistance fall, and your assumptions are received by the subconscious without opposition. That is the time to impress upon it your desire, not as a future hope, but as a present fact. You are the operant power, and you operate through assumption. But assumption must not be mechanical. It must be felt, and feeling can only be genuine when you are relaxed. If you pretend to believe, but inwardly doubt, the doubt will be impressed. But if you rest in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, even for a few moments, it is enough to set the creative process in motion. Do not underestimate the power of ease, for it is ease that draws things to you. When you are tense, you create separation. When you are relaxed, you become magnetic. Think of the rose. It does not strain to attract the bee. It simply blooms in quiet beauty, and the bee comes. So too with your desires. Bloom in the feeling of fulfillment, and all things necessary for its realization will come to you. You may say, but how can I relax when my outer world is so chaotic? And I say to you, the outer world is but a shadow. It has no power of its own. It only reflects your inner state. Therefore, if you would change it, you must turn away from it, not in denial, but in transcendence. You must enter the silence, and in that sacred stillness, assume a new reality. And in time the outer will match the inner. I do not speak of fantasy. I speak of law. The law of consciousness is always at work. You are always assuming something. You are always impressing the subconscious with some state. The question is not, am I manifesting? But what am I manifesting? And the answer is found in your feeling. What you feel habitually you become. Therefore, if you desire a new life, begin now. Not by effort but by rest. Enter the imaginal scene of your fulfilled desire. Feel its reality. Let it be vivid and alive within you. And then relax. Trust. Know that it is done. Walk through the world with quiet joy, knowing that your assumption is creating your reality. And when doubt arises as it may, do not fight it. Simply return to the feeling. Return to the end. Return to rest. Some of you have been striving for years. You have tried technique after technique, and still you wonder why nothing changes. I tell you it is because you have not yet learned to relax. You are planting seeds, but digging them up each day with worry. You are affirming your desire, but feeling the lack of it. You must reverse this. You must feel the fulfillment, and then release all concern. You must trust the unseen more than the seen, and you must do it in peace. If I could leave you with one instruction, it would be this. Relax into the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Make this your daily practice. Morning and night, enter the state of fulfilled desire. Not with tension but with joy. Not with effort but with ease. Feel it as though it were already true. And then live from that state, quietly, confidently, lovingly. You will find that the world begins to change. Not by your manipulation, but by divine orchestration. Events will align, people will appear, opportunities will unfold, and you will look back and wonder how it all happened so effortlessly. And you will remember this, it happened because you relaxed. You let go of the need to make it happen, and you allowed it to happen. This is the secret I give to you. Not hidden in complexity, but in simplicity. Not buried in effort, but revealed in stillness. You are the creator, my friends. But you create not through force, but through assumption. And assumption blossoms best in relaxation. So tonight, as you lie down to sleep, do not replay the worries of the day. Instead, close your eyes, and enter the scene of your fulfilled desire. Hear the words that would be spoken if it were true. Feel the embrace, the joy, the celebration. Let that feeling cradle you into slumber, and know that in that moment you have sown the seed, and in due season the harvest will come. Relax and you will manifest anything you desire, for the power is within you, waiting only for your ease, your trust, your quiet knowing. Be still, and know that you are the creator. So I say to you again, practice this art daily, not as a duty but as a delight. The more you relax into the feeling of the wish fulfilled, the more natural it becomes, and as it becomes natural it becomes real. The subconscious is no respecter of effort. It responds to naturalness. That which feels natural to you will manifest, because it has already been accepted as true. That is why a relaxed imagination is infinitely more powerful than a tense will. Consider how you breathe when you are at peace. There is no strain. There is no grasping for air. It flows in and out, rhythmically, effortlessly. That is the same rhythm with which your desires must be received. Inhale the feeling of fulfillment. Exhale the worry. Inhale the certainty. Exhale the doubt. Your breath can become your anchor into the unseen. As you relax into each moment, you are tuning your frequency to that which you seek. Everything you desire exists now, in a dimension just beyond your physical senses. It is not far from you. It is not separate from you. It is within you, waiting for you to consent to its reality. But consent does not come through force. It comes through surrender. And surrender is not giving up. Surrender is giving in to the truth that what you want is already yours in imagination. The paradox of manifestation is that you must desire with intensity, yet hold that desire with gentleness. You must want it, but you must not need it. You must choose it, but not chase it. You must dwell in it, but not obsess over it. And this fine balance is achieved only through the art of relaxed imagination. The one who assumes quietly is the one who receives loudly. The one who dwells silently in the feeling is the one who soon walks loudly in the results. You must understand, the moment you imagine your desire as fulfilled and truly feel it, it is done. The rest is not your concern. Do not ask how it will happen. The how is not your domain. The bridge of incidents will unfold in ways you could never predict. Your task is to remain faithful to the feeling. Your task is to stay in the state. And the easiest way to stay in the state is to live a relaxed life, a life of trust, a life of knowing that unseen things are more real than the seen, because the seen is born from the unseen. Let me tell you something that will liberate you. The thing you want does not exist out there. It exists in you. It is a pattern of consciousness, waiting to be activated. The moment you imagine it with belief, it begins to express itself through you. It is not that the world brings it to you, it is that your world molds itself around your state of being. And when you are relaxed, you are letting the clay take shape around your assumption. Do you not remember in the scriptures, it is said that God finished all his works and then rested? That rest was not idleness. It was faith in the completion of what was already done. You too must finish your inner work and then rest. Not the rest of doubt, but the rest of conviction. When you feel that inner peace, that quiet assurance, you have touched the creative state. And from that point forward, it is done unto you as you have believed.
Too many of us confuse effort with progress. We are conditioned to struggle. We are told that if we are not constantly pushing, we are losing ground. But I tell you, true manifestation is not a matter of pushing. It is a matter of flowing. When you push, you are declaring that what you want is outside of you. When you flow, you are embodying that it is already within you. That inner shift is the whole game. That shift happens best in rest. Every time you assume something to be true and then rest in that assumption without doubt or contradiction, you are moving mountains. You may not see it immediately with your eyes, but the inner motion is already underway. People will be moved. Circumstances will change. Paths will clear. But you must not be like the man who plants a seed and then digs it up each morning to see if it is growing. Let the seed grow. Let it be. Your imagination is divine. It is God in action. And when you relax and let the imaginal act imprint upon your subconscious, you are doing the very thing the ancients called creation. This is the great mystery of the ages, that man is one with the Creator, and he creates through assumption. And assumption must feel natural to be effective. And what feels more natural than a relaxed state? If I could get this one idea into your heart, it would transform your life. You do not have to try so hard. Your trying is often the very thing delaying the manifestation. It is born from the belief that you are separate from your desire, but you are not. You are one with it, and your union with it is made visible through feeling. And feeling flows best through relaxation. So if you find yourself doubting, tense, or worried, do not try to fight the doubt. That only strengthens it. Instead, pause, breathe, return to your center. Ask yourself, what would I feel right now if it were already done? Then go there, gently. Rest there quietly. That state is your home. That state is your power. That state is the magnet through which all things are drawn. When you are relaxed, you are not distracted. You are present. And presence is power. In the present moment, there is no fear, no lack, no future to worry about. There is only the now, and the now is the gateway to all manifestation. When you are truly relaxed, you are living as though your desire were already realized. You are embodying the end, and from that embodiment, the world reshapes itself. I speak from experience, not theory.
I have seen people who spent years striving, only to receive their heart's desire the moment they gave up the struggle and relaxed. I have seen health restored, wealth gained, relationships mended, not through endless effort, but through inner stillness, through the gentle act of assuming and relaxing. So I ask you to remember this always. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. And who you are is determined by your state. If your state is one of ease, of trust, of joyful expectation, then all that corresponds to that state must come. It is law, it is the law of assumption. It is the law of consciousness. You must make peace with the fact that manifestation is not a doing, it is a being. The doing follows the being. The actions you take will naturally emerge from the state you occupy. But first, be still. First, enter the feeling. First, assume and relax. Then act, not out of fear or haste, but out of inner knowing. The relaxed state is not idle. It is fertile. Now even as you hear my words, perhaps you are beginning to feel a shift, a letting go, a softening. That is the beginning of alignment. Let it deepen. Let your breath slow. Let your shoulders drop, and with each exhale, let go of the belief that you must earn or fight for what is already yours in imagination. Let me repeat, it is already yours. There is nothing to get. There is only something to allow. And allowing is always done in a relaxed state. You cannot allow while resisting. You cannot receive while bracing. You must open. You must surrender. Not in defeat, but in assurance. What would your life look like if you trusted this completely? What kind of ease would you move with? If you knew beyond doubt that all you desired was flowing to you. Can you feel the relief in that? That very relief is your access point. That is the state to dwell in. You do not need to maintain this state 24 hours a day. Even a few moments of relaxed assumption, fully felt, can shift the tide of your life. You will return to doubt at times, and that is okay. When you do not scold yourself. Simply return. Return to the state. Return to the scene. Return to the feeling. It is always available. You carry the creative power within you always. Let the world chase and strive and hustle. Let them be frantic. Let them believe that only through effort comes reward. But you, my friend, you know a deeper secret. You know that the universe responds to your inner state. You know that what you dwell upon with feeling becomes your reality. And you know that the highest form of alignment is relaxation. So go now into the world. Not to get, but to express. Not to struggle, but to allow. Be the one who assumes with joy and walks with calm certainty. Be the one who rests, and therefore receives. Be the one who lives in the end. Now, as you continue to dwell in this state of inner poise, you will find yourself becoming increasingly sensitive to the subtle shifts of your imagination. You will notice how your body responds to the tones of inner conviction. You'll begin to feel when something is real to you, not because you see it in the outer world, but because you sense it as done within. This inner sensitivity, cultivated through relaxation, is the true compass of manifestation. You will no longer need to ask, when will it come? You will know it is coming because you feel it already as yours, and that is enough. You will also notice in this new state of ease that your desires begin to change, not in content necessarily, but in character. They become lighter, freer, more aligned with joy and less with compensation. You are no longer trying to fix something or escape something. You're no longer imagining from a place of lack or pain, but from fullness. The more you rest in the assumption of fulfillment, the less desperate your desires become, and the more magnetic they are. You are no longer creating from need, you are creating from being. And being is the highest state. There is a stillness that comes over the mind when it truly believes. It does not rush, it does not calculate, it does not panic. It simply knows. You must seek to enter that stillness, to make it your dwelling place. That stillness is not empty, it is full. It is alive. It is the womb of creation. And in that sacred silence, all things are born. But to reach that place, you must let go of the noise. You must turn away from the outer din and enter the inner sanctuary where imagination creates reality. Now hear me. You do not have to earn your manifestation. This is perhaps the most radical idea of all. We have been conditioned to believe that only what is earned has value. that we must prove ourselves worthy. But the law of assumption does not operate on merit. It operates on feeling. It gives according to your belief, not your effort. The moment you believe you are already the person who has what you desire, the law begins to move. It does not wait for a performance. It waits only for a shift in state. This is why the relaxed mind is so potent. It is not trying to prove anything. It is not bargaining with the universe. It is not pleading. It is assuming, quietly, naturally, gently. The relaxed mind says, I am. And the universe echoes back, you are. That is the secret to all transformation, a change in self-conception. And self-conception is best changed not through struggle, but through soft repetition in stillness. Think of the potter and the clay. If the clay is too dry, it cracks. If the potter rushes, the form collapses. It is through gentle, deliberate shaping that the vision becomes form. Your mind is that clay. Your assumptions are the potter's hands, and your relaxed state is the moisture that keeps the clay supple and ready to mold. Tension dries it out. Worry breaks it apart. But ease makes it malleable. And in that softness you shape your world. The longer you dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled, the more the world begins to organize itself to mirror that state. And this dwelling must become your home. Not a place you visit occasionally, but where you live mentally. The outer world may still appear unchanged, but that is only because the picture is still developing. Do not snatch the film from the camera too soon. Do not run from the process. Wait in faith. Wait in peace. Wait in inner knowing. Your relaxed assumption is not in vain. It is the seed of the miracle. I know some of you still feel doubt. That is understandable. We have been taught all our lives that effort equals success. But I am telling you now, in this work, the work of manifestation, effort is often the enemy. It introduces friction. It signals unbelief. The more you try to force it, the more you declare, by your trying, that you do not believe it is already so. But when you relax, truly relax, you enter into the Sabbath. And in the Sabbath, creation is finished. This is not philosophy. This is not theory. This is law. And it is a law that has been proven through time, by those willing to trust it. The ancients knew this. They practiced it under different names and rituals. But the core was always the same. Quiet the mind, feel the desired state, and surrender to it. That is the essence of all effective prayer. Not petition, but assumption with rest. And so, as you go about your daily life, practice catching yourself. Notice when you tense, when you rush, when you strive. Then pause, breathe, smile, even, and return not to worry, but to the end. Return to that calm center within, where your desire already exists. Ask yourself, how would I move through this moment if I already had what I want? And then move that way, not with pretense, but with ease, with grace, with stillness. You will find, as this becomes your habit, that people respond to you differently. Opportunities appear where once there were none. Ideas drop into your mind fully formed. You begin to feel carried by life, instead of pushing against it. This is what it means to live by assumption, and not by appearances. You are no longer reacting to the world. You are creating it, quietly, calmly, consciously. Let no one tell you that this is fantasy. Let no one mock the power of imagination. For the world you see was once imagined by someone. Every structure, every invention, every movement of human history began in a mind. And it was not the mind in frenzy that created. It was the mind in vision. The mind that relaxed into an idea and allowed it to grow. You are no different. You are a creative being, and your world is your canvas. The brush is your assumption. The paint is your feeling. And the canvas responds best to the calm, steady hand. So do not wait for permission. Do not wait for evidence. Begin now. Relax. Imagine. Assume. Rest. These are not passive acts. They are the most powerful movements of consciousness. And when practiced daily, they will reshape your reality in ways so subtle, so profound. You will think it was magic. But it is not magic. It is law. It is principle. It is you, operating as you were meant to. Relaxed, receptive, radiant. And so I leave you with this undeniable truth. Relaxation is not weakness. It is mastery. It is the mark of one who knows the creative power within and no longer begs the world for crumbs of validation. The one who relaxes has assumed the throne. They are no longer at the mercy of circumstance, but are now the cause behind the curtain, the silent architect of their unfolding life. You do not need to hustle to be worthy. You do not need to strive to be seen. You only need to assume the state of the wish fulfilled and rest in it with unwavering faith. When you do this, you align with the rhythm of creation itself, effortless, elegant, inevitable. So the next time you are tempted to force, remember nothing forced lasts. But what is imagined with love, assumed with certainty, and held in quiet relaxation, that is eternal, that is divine, that is yours. Relax, and you will manifest anything you desire.
Tonight, I will teach you how to feel it. I will show you the simple divine secret behind every miracle, every manifestation, every transformation that has ever taken place in the life of man. O woman, you do not need more power, for the power is already within you. You do not need more time, for time is only the servant of your inner conviction. You do not even need to know how it will come to pass, for the bridge of incidents will form itself the moment you feel it as real. What you need is to feel it. Feel what? The wish fulfilled. Most men and women pray. They hope, they beg, they wait, but few ever feel. To feel is to become. To feel is to fuse your inner world with the outer one. The outer responds to the inner, and the inner is ruled by feeling. God is not a faraway being in the sky. God is your own wonderful human imagination. When you learn how to feel something as though it were already so, you awaken God within, and God responds to his own nature. God creates by imagining, and when he imagines lovingly, he creates life, beauty, abundance, joy. So must you. You are not separate from the Creator. You are the Creator, asleep to your own power. But tonight, I intend to awaken you. I have said it many times. The world is yourself pushed out. What you believe, what you accept as true, what you feel with conviction, that is what hardens into fact. The law is always working, always producing what you are in the depth of your soul. If your life is filled with lack, you are feeling lack. If your life overflows with blessings, you are feeling blessed. The world cannot help but mirror back to you the vibration, the state, the assumption you carry in your being. Therefore, I say again, I will teach you how to feel it. Let us now make this very practical. Suppose you desire wealth. You do not need to look to the stock market, to the government, to some external source. All you need is to enter the state of wealth within. You do this by feeling wealthy, not hoping to be wealthy. No, not acting as if wealth might someday come, but assuming now, with full inner conviction, that you are already the one you desire to be. How would you walk if you had all the wealth you desired? How would you speak? How would you greet your friends? How would you fall asleep at night? What would you think about as you awoke each morning? Ask yourself these questions sincerely, and you will begin to construct a new state of consciousness. And that state, once occupied in feeling, will produce its corresponding reality. Let me remind you, this is not make-believe. This is not fantasy, this is creation. You are imagining your world into being, just as God imagined this entire universe into existence. We are told in Scripture, God calleth those things which be not as though they were. That is the very secret I am giving to you now. You must call forth the thing you want as though it already existed, and you must feel it to be true. Do not concern yourself with the facts of life. They are only the shadow of your former state. They will fade away when you no longer give them attention. All that matters is the feeling. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is not a mere fleeting emotion. It is a deep, abiding inner knowing. When you feel it, truly feel it, something shifts. Your breathing changes. Your posture shifts. You begin to see with new eyes. You are no longer a beggar asking for change. You are a creator declaring it is done. From that moment, your world must reassemble itself to reflect the new you, and it will. Not by force, not by willpower, but by the effortless divine operation of law. Imagine then that you are already where you want to be. Close your eyes and feel into that scene. Do not just visualize it, inhabit it. Make it real in your imagination. Hear the sounds you would hear.
Touch the objects you would touch. Breathe in the air of that new world. Let every sense participate in the feeling of being already there. And then, let go. Fall asleep in that state. Carry it with you throughout the day. Return to it whenever doubt arises. And above all, do not contradict it with worry, fear, or complaint. Remain faithful to the feeling, and it will become fact. Now let me tell you a story. A woman once came to me, desperate to be reunited with her estranged husband. She had tried everything: letters, phone calls, pleading. Nothing worked. I said to her, "Do you still love him?" She said yes. "Then assume he loves you too, and that you are already together." She looked at me as if I had asked her to climb Mount Everest. But I told her, "Just tonight, before sleep, imagine him holding you, telling you he loves you. Feel it as though it were happening now." She did it, though reluctantly. The next week, he called her. By the end of the month, they were back together. What changed? Not him. Her feeling changed. She moved into a new state, and the world mirrored it. Another man came to me, longing for a better job. He felt unworthy, overlooked, stuck. I said, "You are not stuck. You are only stuck in your feeling." I instructed him to construct a scene that would imply his desire had already been fulfilled. He imagined shaking the hand of a new employer, hearing the words, "You're hired," and feeling the pride of accomplishment. Every night, he entered that scene. Within weeks, a company he had never even contacted reached out with an offer, double the salary. What changed? Not the world. His feeling changed. He stopped being the man who waited, and became the man who had. I tell you again, if you can feel it, you can manifest it. You do not need to manipulate people, force circumstances, or wait for some perfect alignment of stars. You simply need to enter the state of the wish fulfilled, and remain there. The world will conform, for it always does. You are the operant power. Nothing comes into your world but what you assume and accept as true. And assumption, once felt as fact, becomes fact. This is the law. This is the teaching of all the great mystics, clothed in different words, but pointing to the same truth. You are creating reality by what you feel to be true about yourself, about others, about life itself. So choose wisely and feel deliberately. If you want love, feel loved. Do not wait for someone to love you. Be the one who feels love now. Imagine what it feels like to be cherished, valued, adored. Walk in that feeling. Speak from that place. Love will come, for you have become the vibration of love itself. If you want health, feel healthy. Not someday, now. Feel the joy of vitality. Feel the ease in your body. Imagine the doctor saying, "All is well." Hear it, believe it, feel it. If you want freedom, feel free. Not in some distant future, but in this very moment. Break the chains in your mind, and your outer world will reflect your inner liberation. You are not a victim of fate. You are not subject to chance. You are the master, the chooser, the one who brings heaven or hell into being by your feeling. All the power of the universe is compressed within your own consciousness, and the gateway to its expression is feeling. Let us return to scripture again. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. It does not say, as a man thinks in his head. It says heart, which is the symbol of feeling. You may say with your lips, "I am wealthy," but if in your heart you feel poor, it is the feeling that will dominate. You must bring the word and the feeling into alignment. Speak what you feel, and feel what you speak. Only then do you create from truth. Now the question arises, but what if I feel fear? What if I feel doubt? Do not resist it. Acknowledge it, and then shift. Feelings are not enemies. They are messengers. If you feel fear, it means you are imagining something you do not want. So stop. Withdraw your attention from that scene, and construct a new one. Enter the feeling of safety, of confidence, of calm. Persist in that. Repetition will solidify the new state. And remember, no feeling lasts unless you sustain it. Sustain only what you want. This is not hard work. In fact, it is the most effortless of all. You are always feeling something. The question is, are you feeling deliberately or by default? Most people feel according to what the outer world tells them. But the magician, the mystic, the true creator, feels according to what they desire, regardless of appearances. And that is why they rise above the world and shape it. So tonight I urge you to begin. Do not wait. Choose one desire, just one, and feel it as though it were already so. Create a scene that implies its fulfillment. Let it be short and vivid. Enter it fully. Make it your home in imagination. Return to it again and again. Sleep in it. Walk in it. Think from it. And do not let the outer world dissuade you. It is only catching up. This is your birthright. This is the secret Jesus taught when he said, "Whatsoever ye desire, believe that ye have received it, and ye shall have it." Believe that you have received it, not that you will, that you have. And belief in its purest form is feeling. I will teach you how to feel it, because feeling is the secret, not action, not strategy, not effort. Feeling, the moment you feel the state of your desire as real, the moment you inwardly consent to its truth, it must come to pass, not by might, not by force, but by the inner certainty of being. Go now, and feel deliberately, feel powerfully, feel as though you already are the one you want to be, and watch the world rearrange itself in perfect harmony with your inner state. You may wake tomorrow and see no sign, no evidence of what you have felt the night before, and you may be tempted to say, "It didn't work," but I tell you, never judge by appearances. The seed has already been sown, and what you now see is merely the lingering effect of your old state. Continue to feel the new reality. Let it take root. Persist in the assumption, not with strain, not with effort, but with quiet confidence, with that deep knowing that what you feel with conviction is law to your world. You must understand that the bridge of incidents, those mysterious, often untraceable paths that lead you from your present world to the one you have felt, are not yours to construct. Do not concern yourself with the how. You are not called to build the bridge. You are called to walk across it once it appears, and it will appear, not by your doing, but by the law that answers the feeling. What seems random, accidental, or coincidental will reveal itself, in hindsight, to be divinely orchestrated. But you must first claim the end. Feel it, own it, assume it. Each time you return to the old feeling of lack, of doubt, of fear, you reinforce that former state. But if you discipline yourself, even gently, to remain faithful to the desired state, you will notice a subtle change. You'll begin to feel different, not because the world has changed, but because you have changed. And when you change, the world must follow. The law is not partial. It does not fail. It simply responds to the predominant feeling within you. You see, the imagination is not some whimsical fantasy land. It is the workshop of God. It is where reality begins. And you are the craftsman, the dreamer of dreams. But dreams do not come true because you simply wish them to. They come true because you dare to feel them as real. When you do this, you move from mere desiring into assuming, from hoping into knowing, from imagining into creating. This is the sacred alchemy of consciousness, the transmutation of invisible substance into visible form. I urge you, in your quiet moments, especially before you sleep, to withdraw from the world of facts and enter the world of assumption. Let the body relax, let the mind grow still, and let your attention be gently directed toward that which you wish to be, not with struggle, not with analysis, but with ease. Imagine a scene that would take place after your desire is fulfilled, not the process, only the result. If it is marriage you want, see the ring on your finger. If it is success, feel the congratulations. If it is health, sense the vitality in your limbs. Do not overthink it. Do not make it complicated. Let it be simple, natural, alive, and most of all, feel it.
This practice is not reserved for the few. It is not some mystical gift given to saints or sages. It is the right and ability of every man, woman, and child. You were born with this power. You are using it now, whether you realize it or not. Every state you occupy is producing its harvest. So choose your state by choosing your feeling. What you feel yourself to be is what you become. You may say, "But I don't know how to sustain the feeling." I say, practice. Like a musician training the ear or an athlete training the body, you must train your soul to dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled. Begin with short moments. A few minutes here, a few minutes there. Return to it often. In time, it will become your dwelling place. It will feel more real than the world outside. And when it does, the world outside will catch up. You are not here to conform to the world, you are here to transform it. But you cannot transform anything while feeling yourself a victim of circumstance. You must rise inwardly.
You must ascend the ladder of being through feeling. Each rung is a new state. Each state brings new experiences. You do not change the world by force. You change yourself, and the world reflects your change. When I tell you to feel the wish fulfilled, I am asking you to become the person who already possesses what you desire. To think from it, to feel from it, to move through the world as though it were already yours. Not to pretend, not to fake, but to embody it with sincerity and faith. When you do this, you will find that your desires are not something you must chase. They are drawn to you, for you have become their embodiment. You must also learn the art of detachment. Not detachment from desire, but from outcome. Once you have felt it real, once you have accepted the state, do not strain for results. Let the feeling rest within you like a seed in the earth. Trust the law. Let life flow. Know that the manifestation is already in motion. You need not dig up the seed to check if it's growing. Your job is to feel it real, and then to live your life with the quiet confidence that it must come to pass. Many of you are waiting for a sign to believe, but the sign comes after the belief. First you believe through feeling, and then the sign appears. The feeling is the cause, the sign is the effect. To reverse this is to wait forever. So begin within. Begin now. Your world is your mirror. You do not see what is. You see who you are. Change who you are in feeling, and what you see will change automatically. A fearful person sees threats. A joyful person sees blessings. A loving person sees beauty. The lens is internal. Adjust it, and the picture adjusts itself. In the stillness of your mind, begin to hear the words you wish to hear. Imagine the sounds, the voices, the laughter that would surround your fulfilled desire. Let it be vivid. Let it be detailed. Let it be emotionally rich. Do not simply think it, feel it. Let the scene impress itself upon your soul. Then let it go. Trust that the impression will produce its expression. Your feelings are prayers, not the words you utter with your lips, but the feelings you carry in your heart. These are your true invocations, and they are always answered according to their nature. If your prayer is one of lack, you receive more lack. If it is one of fulfillment, you receive fulfillment. So bless your desire by feeling it is already done. Give thanks for it, not in advance of its arrival, but in recognition that it is already yours. Do not confuse effort with effectiveness. It is not struggle that brings results, it is surrender to the feeling. It is the quiet, confident assumption that what you have imagined is already a fact in your world. When you no longer need to force it, when you no longer need to ask if it's working, that is when it is working. That is when it begins to move from the unseen into the seen. The great secret is this: reality is not created by outer action but by inner conviction. What you are convinced of, deep in your bones, in your breath, in your heart, is what you manifest. And conviction comes from feeling. You cannot be convinced of something and not feel it. The two are inseparable. So if you wish to change your world, you must first change your conviction. And you do that through feeling. Now if you say, "But I've tried and it didn't work," I ask you, what did you feel? Did you feel the lack of it? Or did you feel the joy of already having it? You cannot deceive the law. It gives you not what you want, but what you are in consciousness. You must be honest with yourself. Trace your feelings. Examine your reactions. What are you truly accepting as real? That is your state, and that is what must change. So let us not just talk about this. Let us do it. Close your eyes even now, and let yourself drift into the end. What do you want? What do you long for? Feel it now. Step into the scene that implies it is done. Hear the words, see the faces, sense the atmosphere. Now feel the joy, the relief, the gratitude of already being there. Let it fill your being. Let it saturate your body. This is not fantasy. This is creation. You are doing it now. You are planting the seed, and the harvest is inevitable. Remain in that state. Let nothing shake you. Let no outer appearance tempt you back into doubt. You are the one with the power. You are the one who imagines. You are the one who feels. And because you feel it, it must be. Not someday, not maybe, but surely, certainly, lawfully. As you continue to dwell in that feeling, a strange and beautiful thing happens. You begin to forget the old state. It no longer fits. It no longer feels like home. You have moved inwardly, and the outer must move with you. What once felt impossible begins to feel natural. What once seemed distant becomes familiar. And then one day, without effort, without striving, You look around and realize it is done. In that moment, you don't celebrate because something external has changed. You celebrate because the outer has finally caught up with what you've known all along. The world simply reflects your sustained inner state. And when that state becomes your dwelling place, reality bends to meet it. The phone call comes. The opportunity presents itself. The person shows up. Not because you chased them down, but because you changed who you were in consciousness. And they had no choice but to respond to the new vibration you radiated. You must now realize that all creation is finished. The moment you desire a thing, it already exists. It exists in the invisible, in that higher realm of imagination and feeling. You are not creating something from nothing. You are selecting from the infinite possibilities already prepared for you. Just as a radio does not create music, but simply tunes into a frequency, you are tuning into the reality you desire by way of your inner state. When you change the frequency, the song changes, and the frequency is your feeling. So if you persist in the feeling of already being what you want to be, you are tuning into the experience of that state. The longer you dwell in that feeling, the more naturally it begins to express itself through you. You no longer need to remind yourself of what you want, you have become it. And that becoming is what moves the unseen into the seen. You may not realize how powerful your acceptance is. The very moment you accept something as true within yourself, you set in motion a chain of events that is far beyond your understanding. A whisper in the heart becomes a conversation on the street. A feeling in your soul becomes a change in your bank account. A moment of gratitude in the silence becomes a healed relationship. But the outer event is never the cause. It is the echo. The origin is always within. Do not be disheartened when the world does not change instantly. It is not meant to. The world is slow, dense, heavy. It takes time to catch up with what you feel instantly. That is why you must live by inner vision, not outer sight. You are not called to observe, you are called to assume. And that assumption must be felt as real, so deeply, so naturally, that you cannot help but live from it, speak from it, and act as though it were already true. Many of you are tempted to argue with the current facts of your life, but facts are not truth. They are merely reflections of previous feelings, hardened into visible form. If you argue with the fact, you remain in bondage to the past. But if you disregard appearances and claim the truth of your new state, you rise above the world and call forth a higher order of reality. And that truth is felt, not seen. The more you feel from the end, the more the world must yield to your inner conviction. Circumstances will shift. People will behave differently. Opportunities will unfold with such precision that you will know, without a doubt, that something greater is guiding it all. That greater something is your own imagination, aligned with your feeling. And when those two are in harmony, nothing is impossible to you. What will you choose to feel tonight? Not what will you wish for, not what will you hope to see, but what will you feel as real in your heart? That is the beginning of your creation. That is the seed of your new world. And though no man may see it, though no sign may yet appear, rest assured, it is done. The feeling is the evidence, the assumption is the cause, and the world must bow to it, for it has no choice but to follow the inner blueprint you have laid down. Do not wait for others to agree with you. Do not wait for the world to give you permission. Do not wait for the perfect conditions to begin. You begin now with feeling. You begin now with imagination. You begin now by entering into the state of the wish fulfilled. And once you have entered, remain there. Do not visit, live there. Let it be your new identity, your new home, your new reality. And the old world will pass away, and all things shall be made new. You are not learning how to create. You are learning how to feel, for the feeling is the creation. When you feel a thing deeply enough, consistently enough, the creation is complete. The delay you experience is not a delay in the creation, it is a delay in your recognition. You are waiting to see it before you believe it. But the law demands that you believe it, feel it, before you see it. So feel with intention, feel with clarity, feel with love. If your desire does not thrill you in feeling, it will not move the law into action. Let it come alive within you. Let the emotion flood your being. Let the joy, the peace, the excitement of already having it become the atmosphere of your soul. And in that atmosphere, miracles grow. Do not fear the delay. It is only the space between inner knowing and outer unfolding. It is the gap between seed and harvest. But the harvest is sure, if the seed is real. And the seed is the feeling, not the fleeting wish or the momentary thought. but the sustained assumption felt as fact. Every great life, every success story, every healing, every breakthrough began with a man or woman who dared to feel something new, something greater, something already done. And they held to that feeling, even when the world told them otherwise. They were not greater than you. They were not more gifted or more deserving. They were simply more faithful to the feeling. And that faith became substance. That feeling became fact. You must now do the same. Take the power back from the world and return it to where it always belonged in you. You are not subject to the world. The world is subject to you, and you rule it through your feeling. So feel with intention, feel with discipline, feel with love. For what you feel you become, and what you become, you inevitably see. So I leave you with this eternal truth. Nothing is more powerful than your feeling. Not circumstance, not logic, not the opinions of others. If you would only dare to feel your wish fulfilled, persist in it, surrender to it, embody it, then no force on earth could stop its manifestation. You are not here to beg from life, you are here to command it, not through effort or force, but through the silent authority of feeling. That feeling is your prayer, your seed, your creation. And when you honor it with belief, when you live from it, as though it were already so, the universe must obey. It is not a matter of if, it is a matter of law. So feel it now, feel it deeply, and never forget, the world will always reflect what you dare to feel as true.
The secret of creation is feeling. Feeling is the secret. And tonight I will teach you how to feel your way into the fulfillment of your every desire. What do I mean by feeling? I do not mean emotion or the excitement of the senses, but the acceptance of the end as though it were already fulfilled. Feeling is the secret by which all things are made. And without this feeling, even your most beautifully constructed mental pictures will not externalize themselves in your world. Now tonight, I ask you this question. What would the feeling be like if you were the man or woman that you want to be? How would you feel if you now possess what you desire to possess? This, my dear friends, is the art of feeling. I shall teach you tonight a principle that, when mastered, will enable you to manifest anything instantly. The Bible, which is the greatest psychological book ever written, tells us whatsoever ye desire when ye pray, believe that ye have received it, and ye shall receive it. It doesn't say you will receive it in the future. It says you shall receive what you have already received in consciousness. For imagination is the beginning of creation. You imagine what you desire, and then you believe in the reality of what you have imagined. That is the feeling I speak of, that sense of naturalness, that sense of already being what you want to be. Now let me make this very practical for you. You must first know exactly what you want. So many people say to me, oh, I want to be successful. Success means different things to different people. You must be specific. Define your goal with absolute clarity. If it is wealth that you desire, how much wealth? If it is health, what does perfect health mean to you? If it is a relationship, what kind of relationship? You must be clear about what you want. For as the Bible tells us, if the trumpet gives an uncertain sound, who shall prepare himself for battle? Once you know what you want, the next step is the most important. And this is where most of us fail. You must assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. How would you feel if your desire were now a fact? Would you be happy? Would you be grateful? Would you be relieved? Would you walk differently? Would you talk differently? Would you sleep more soundly? Whatever that feeling would be, you must capture it now. Let me tell you a story to illustrate this principle. A lady came to me once in desperate need of money. Her husband had left her with 3 children to feed, and she needed $5,000 by the end of the month to pay her mortgage, or she would lose her home. She had no idea where this money would come from, for she had no savings and a very modest income. I asked her, what would the feeling be like if you had that $5,000 right now? She closed her eyes and said, I would feel such relief. I would feel secure. I would sleep peacefully through the night without worry. I said to her, that's the feeling you must capture now. Before you go to sleep tonight, I want you to feel as though the money is already in your bank account. Feel the relief. Feel the security. Feel the peace that comes from knowing all is well. 3 weeks later, she called me, her voice trembling with excitement. Her brother, whom she had not seen in 15 years, had suddenly contacted her. He had sold a piece of property and, feeling guilty for not having kept in touch all these years, sent her a check for $7,500, saying it was her share of their parents' estate, which he had been managing. Now, was this a coincidence? I tell you, there are no accidents in a universe governed by law. She captured the feeling of financial security, and that feeling found its way to expression. This is how your world is created from within out. Let me share with you a secret that few people know. The feeling we are discussing is not something you have to generate or manufacture. It is not something outside of yourself that you have to reach for. It is already within you, waiting to be recognized and expressed. Every state that you could ever occupy exists now as a present possibility. All that is required of you is to select the state that you wish to occupy and then surrender yourself to it completely. Think of it this way. In this very moment, there exists a version of you who has already achieved everything you desire. That version of you has the wealth you seek, the health you long for, the relationships that fulfill you. That version exists now in what we might call the realm of infinite possibilities. Your job is not to create this version of yourself that already exists. Your job is to step into it, to occupy it, to become it by assuming the feeling of being it. How do you do this? You must first quiet your mind. Find a place where you will not be disturbed. Perhaps just before sleep, when the mind is naturally receptive. Close your eyes and ask yourself, how would I feel if I were the person I want to be? How would I feel if my desire were now a fact? Then, let that feeling envelop you completely. Let it permeate every cell of your being until you are literally feeling yourself into the state desired. Now, here's where most people go wrong. They try to feel their desire for a moment or two, and then they return to their old state of consciousness. They toggle back and forth between the feeling of having and the feeling of wanting, and in doing so, they neutralize their creative power. You must persist in the feeling of the wish fulfilled until that feeling crowds all other feelings out of your consciousness. You must reach a point where it would be mentally uncomfortable for you to entertain any opposing thoughts or feelings. Let me give you a formula that has helped thousands. I call it the "it is done" technique. When you have successfully captured the feeling of your wish fulfilled, make this statement to yourself with complete conviction. It is done. Feel the finality of it. Feel the completeness of it. Just as when you mail a letter, you don't keep checking whether it has been mailed, you know it is done, so too must you feel with your desire. Once you have assumed the feeling of the wish fulfilled and declared it is done, drop it completely. Do not keep checking to see if it is working. Do not keep wondering when it will manifest. Know that the moment you captured the feeling, your desire began moving toward you. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Neville, if I simply imagine and feel that my desire is fulfilled, what about the action I must take? This is a common question. And here is my answer. True action is not physical movement, but the movement of consciousness from one state to another. When you successfully move into the consciousness of having your desire fulfilled, you will find yourself naturally and effortlessly taking whatever physical actions are necessary to bring about the manifestation of your desire. Let me illustrate this. A young man once told me he wanted to be a successful writer, but he never seemed to find the time to write. He was always too tired after work, or there were too many distractions. I told him not to try to write, but instead to assume the feeling of being a successful writer. How would he feel if he were already published and acclaimed? What would his days be like? What thoughts would occupy his mind? He began to feel himself into the state of being a successful writer, and within a week, he found himself waking up an hour earlier each morning, eager to write. Ideas flowed to him effortlessly, and within 6 months he had completed his first novel, which was later published to great acclaim. You see, when you change your state of consciousness, everything else changes to reflect that new state. The actions you need to take will present themselves to you, and you will find yourself naturally motivated to take them. This is what I mean when I say that feeling is the secret. The feeling comes first, and everything else follows. Now let's delve deeper into this principle. The universe is mental, it is responsive to your consciousness. Whatever state you occupy mentally, the outer world must reflect. This is not philosophy, this is law. Just as the law of gravity operates whether you believe in it or not, so too does this law of consciousness. Your outer world is simply the objectification of your inner assumptions. If you are not experiencing what you desire in your outer world, it is because you have not yet fully occupied the state of consciousness that corresponds to your desire. You may think about your desire, you may talk about it, you may even visualize it, but until you feel the reality of it, until you accept it as true in the realm of consciousness, it cannot externalize itself in your world. This brings me to another important aspect of feeling: persistence. How long must you persist in the feeling of the wish fulfilled? Until it feels natural to you, until it feels more real to you than the evidence of your senses. The Bible calls this walking by faith, not by sight. You must be willing to ignore the evidence of your senses which tell you that your desire is not yet fulfilled, and persist in the feeling that it is done. I recall a gentleman who came to me with a severe physical ailment. The doctors had told him there was no cure, and he was destined to live with pain for the rest of his life. I asked him to imagine himself completely well, to feel the freedom and joy of perfect health. He said to me, "But Neville, how can I feel healthy when my body is in such pain?" I told him that his physical condition was simply the manifestation of past assumptions, and that if he wanted to change his body, he must first change his assumptions. Each night before sleep, he would imagine himself running freely, moving without pain, enjoying perfect health. At first it was difficult for him to capture this feeling, but he persisted. He would say to himself, "This is how I would feel if I were completely well," and he would let that feeling sink deep into his consciousness. Within 3 months, to the amazement of his doctors, all symptoms of his ailment had vanished. His body had conformed to his new assumption of health. What you must understand is that the time it takes for your desire to materialize in the outer world is proportional to the naturalness of the feeling. The more natural it feels to you to be what you want to be, the more swiftly it will objectify itself. That is why I emphasize feeling rather than mere visualization or affirmation. Anyone can repeat words or create mental pictures, but until those words and pictures are accompanied by the feeling of reality, they remain sterile, unproductive. Let me give you another technique that will help you to capture the feeling of your wish fulfilled. I call it living from the end. Instead of thinking of your desire as something to be attained in the future, you must think from it as a present fact. For instance, if your desire is for financial abundance, instead of thinking, "I will be wealthy," which implies that wealth is still to come, think, "I am wealthy." Feel what it would be like to have all the money you desire right now. How would you think if you were wealthy? What kinds of thoughts would occupy your mind? Would you be concerned about paying bills? Would you feel a sense of lack or limitation? Of course not. You would feel expansive, generous, secure. These are the feelings you must capture now, regardless of your current financial situation. I want you to practice this technique right now. Close your eyes and think of something you truly desire. It could be anything: a material possession, a relationship, a state of being. Now, instead of thinking of it as something you want or need, think of it as something you already have. Feel the satisfaction of possession. Feel the joy of attainment. Let this feeling become so vivid, so real to you that for a moment at least you forget that in the outer world, your desire is not yet manifest. This is what the Bible means when it says, "The kingdom of heaven is within you." The kingdom is the realm of fulfilled desires, and it exists now within your consciousness. You enter this kingdom not by working or striving, but by feeling yourself to be already that which you desire to be. Some of you might be wondering, but what if my desire involves other people? I cannot control their free will. This is a common misconception. You are not trying to control anyone. You are simply occupying a state of consciousness in which your desire is fulfilled. And the entire world, including all the people in it, must rearrange itself to conform to this new state. For instance, if you desire a loving relationship, you would feel yourself to be in that relationship now. You would feel the love, the companionship, the joy of sharing your life with someone who adores you. As you persist in this feeling, you will find that either someone new will enter your life who embodies all the qualities you desire, or someone already in your life will change to reflect your new assumption. This is not manipulation, it is simply the law of consciousness in operation. Now, there is another aspect of feeling that is equally important, and that is the feeling of gratitude. Gratitude is not only a response to receiving what you desire, it is also a powerful state that accelerates the manifestation of your desires. When you feel grateful for something, you are acknowledging that it is already yours. Gratitude is the feeling of completion, of knowing that what you desire is already done. So, in addition to feeling the naturalness of having your desire fulfilled, I want you to feel a deep sense of gratitude, as though your desire has already been granted. Feel the thankfulness that would spontaneously arise if your desire were now a fact. This feeling of gratitude, combined with the feeling of naturalness, creates an invincible power that must externalize itself in your world. Let me tell you about a woman who wanted to heal a broken relationship with her daughter. They had not spoken for years due to a misunderstanding, and all attempts at reconciliation had failed. I advised her to capture the feeling of having a loving, harmonious relationship with her daughter. Each night before sleep, she would imagine a conversation with her daughter, hearing her voice filled with love, feeling the warmth of her daughter's embrace. She would let the joy and gratitude of this restored relationship fill her heart. Within 2 weeks, her daughter called her. There was no mention of the past grievances. It was as if the old pattern had been completely wiped away. Today, they enjoy a relationship closer than ever before. This woman did not try to make her daughter call her. She did not strategize or plan. She simply changed her own state of consciousness, and her outer world reshuffled itself to reflect this new state. This brings me to another important principle: you cannot serve two masters. You cannot feel that your desire is fulfilled and at the same time feel that it is not. You must choose which feeling you will serve, and then serve it with all your heart. If you find yourself wavering between faith and doubt, between the feeling of fulfillment and the feeling of lack, then you must discipline your mind to focus exclusively on the feeling of the wish fulfilled. How do you do this? When the evidence of your senses contradicts your desire, you must remember that your senses only show you the effects of past beliefs and assumptions. They do not show you what is possible, only what has been. If you continue to react to the evidence of your senses, you will perpetuate the same reality. You must have the courage to turn your attention away from the problem and toward the solution, away from the absence and toward the presence, away from what is and toward what you want to be. This takes practice and persistence, but it becomes easier with time. Each time you successfully ignore the evidence of your senses and feel the reality of your desire fulfilled, you strengthen this new assumption until it becomes dominant. And when it becomes dominant, it must externalize itself in your world. Let me share with you one more technique that will help you to capture and maintain the feeling of your wish fulfilled. I call it revision. If at any point during your day you find yourself reacting negatively to a person or situation, if you find yourself feeling frustrated, angry, or fearful, do not let that feeling take root in your consciousness. Instead, revise the scene mentally, reconstruct it as you wish it had happened. Feel the satisfaction of the revised scene. For instance, if someone spoke to you harshly, revise the scene and hear them speaking to you with kindness and respect. If you made a mistake at work, revise the scene and see yourself performing flawlessly. This technique not only prevents negative feelings from hardening into negative states, but it also gives you practice in controlling your emotional reactions and choosing the feelings you want to experience. The power of revision cannot be overstated. By revising your day each night before sleep, you are literally rewriting your subconscious impressions, which are the seeds of tomorrow's experiences. If you persist in this practice, you will find your days becoming increasingly harmonious and joyful, increasingly aligned with your desires. Now, some of you might be thinking this all sounds wonderful, But is it really as simple as feeling that my desire is fulfilled? Yes, it is that simple, but simple does not mean easy. It takes discipline and practice to maintain the feeling of the wish fulfilled when everything in your outer world contradicts it. It takes courage to live by an inner conviction rather than by outer appearances. But I assure you it is worth the effort. For when you master the art of feeling, you become the conscious creator of your life. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstances or conditions. You are no longer a passive recipient of life's experiences. You are the author, writing the script of your life through the power of your assumptions. Remember, the world is yourself pushed out. What you see in the outer world is simply the projection of your inner states. If you do not like what you see, do not try to change the projection, change the projector. Change your state of consciousness, and the projection must change. This is what Jesus meant when he said, "The kingdom of God cometh not with observation, for behold, the kingdom of God is within you." The kingdom is the realm of fulfilled desires, and it exists now within your consciousness. You enter this kingdom not by working or striving, but by feeling yourself to be already that which you desire to be. In conclusion, let me summarize the method I have taught you tonight for manifesting anything instantly. First, know exactly what you want. Be specific about your desire. Second, capture the feeling of your wish fulfilled. How would you feel if your desire were now a fact? Capture that feeling and let it permeate your consciousness. Third, declare to yourself it is done, and feel the finality of it. Feel the completeness of it. Fourth, persist in this feeling until it becomes dominant in your consciousness, crowding out all contrary thoughts and feelings. Fifth, express gratitude as though your desire has already been fulfilled, for in consciousness it has. And finally, revise any negative experiences throughout your day, mentally reconstructing them as you wish they had happened. If you will practice these principles faithfully, I promise you that you will transform your life. You will discover that the outer world is infinitely responsive to your inner assumptions, and that by changing those assumptions, you change your world. Remember, the feeling is the secret. It is not what you say or even what you visualize that creates your reality. It is what you feel. For feeling is the language of the subconscious, and the subconscious is the creative power within you. When you speak to it in its own language, it cannot help but respond. So tonight, as you retire to sleep, I challenge you to put this principle to the test. Select one desire, one thing that you truly want to be, to do, or to have. Capture the feeling of already being, doing, or having it. Fall asleep in that feeling, and watch as the invisible becomes visible, as the imaginal becomes the actual, as your inner assumption becomes your outer expression. For this is the mystery and the miracle of creation. What you feel, you attract. What you imagine and believe, you become. And in the realm of consciousness, where all creation begins, you are truly limitless, boundless, and free. The world is yours to create through the power of feeling. It is done. Let me make one thing abundantly clear at the outset of our discussion. When I speak of God ordering your steps, I am not referring to some external deity who manipulates your life like pieces on a chessboard. No. I am speaking of the God who is your own wonderful human imagination, the God who is the very consciousness that dwells within you. For consciousness is the one and only reality, and your consciousness is God in action. Tonight I wish to share with you how God, your own wonderful human imagination, orders your steps every single day. For once you truly comprehend this principle, you will never again feel lost, abandoned, or at the mercy of chance. You will know with absolute certainty that every event, every encounter, every circumstance in your life is divinely orchestrated by the God within you. Let us begin with a fundamental truth. The world that you perceive is nothing more than a mirror reflecting the contents of your consciousness. As within, so without. Your inner assumptions, beliefs, and feelings are continually being projected outward and solidified into what you call your reality. This is how God orders your steps, through the power of your assumptions. Consider for a moment what you assume to be true about yourself, about others, about the world at large. These assumptions, these fixed beliefs, are not mere thoughts. They are creative forces that shape and mold the substance of your experience. When you assume that life is difficult, that people cannot be trusted, that success is beyond your reach, you are, in that moment, ordering your steps toward experiences that will confirm these assumptions. Conversely, when you assume the best, when you dwell in the certainty that you are guided, protected, and divinely supported, you are ordering your steps toward manifestations of these higher truths. This is the law, and the law is God in action. But how, you might ask, does this process unfold in the practical reality of your day-to-day life? Let me illustrate with a simple example. Imagine that you awaken in the morning with a feeling of joy and anticipation. You dwell in the assumption that this day will bring wonderful opportunities and delightful encounters. As you move through your day, you find yourself naturally drawn to certain locations, certain people, certain activities. Perhaps you decide on a whim to take a different route to work, or to visit a cafe you've never been to before. In that cafe, you meet someone who introduces you to an idea or opportunity that perfectly aligns with a desire you've been nurturing in your heart. Was this chance? Was it coincidence? No, my dear friend. It was God ordering your steps. The assumption of joy and opportunity that you embodied in the morning was the divine directive that orchestrated each moment of your day, leading you unerringly to the fulfillment of that assumption. Now let us delve deeper into the mechanism by which God orders your steps. Everything begins with a state of consciousness. A state is a mood, an attitude, a feeling about yourself or life. At any given moment, you are dwelling in a particular state, and from that state, certain behaviors, thoughts, and actions naturally flow. If you are in a state of anxiety, you will think anxious thoughts, notice potential threats in your environment, and take actions designed to protect yourself from perceived danger. If you are in a state of confidence, you will think empowering thoughts, notice opportunities in your environment, and take bold actions aligned with your desires. The key to allowing God to order your steps in a way that leads to the fulfillment of your desires is to consciously choose the state from which you operate. This choice is made not through intellectual decision-making, but through the feeling, the emotion, the conviction that the desired state is already yours. In my own experience, I have witnessed this principle in action countless times. I recall a period in my life when I desired to share these teachings with a wider audience. Instead of striving and struggling to make this happen through external means, I simply assumed the feeling of already being a successful teacher and author, reaching thousands with this message of truth. From that state of fulfilled desire, I found myself naturally taking certain steps, making certain decisions, speaking certain words, all of which led, with what appeared to be miraculous precision, to opportunities that allowed this desire to materialize in my world. But there was no miracle involved, only the perfect, immutable law of consciousness. This law operates with mathematical precision. Just as 2 must equal 4, so must your assumptions, persisted in, crystallize into objective facts in your world. This is how God orders your steps, not through capricious intervention or arbitrary favor, but through the flawless operation of law. But I hear your objection, Neville. If God is ordering my steps, and God is my own wonderful human imagination, why do I experience unwanted events? Why do I encounter obstacles and difficulties? Surely I am not consciously imagining these challenges. The answer lies in what I call your mental diet, the sum total of the thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions that you have accepted as true over the course of your life. Many of these were implanted in your consciousness during childhood by well-meaning parents, teachers, and authority figures, and figures also were operating from limited understanding. Others were formed through your interpretation of past experiences. These beliefs and assumptions operate below the threshold of your conscious awareness, silently directing your steps toward experiences that confirm them. This is why self-examination is so crucial. You must become aware of the contents of your consciousness if you would take control of the direction of your life. I tell you now, with absolute conviction, that there is no force outside of your own consciousness that can dictate the course of your life. There is no fate, no luck, no chance that can override the creative power of your assumptions. God, your own wonderful human imagination, orders your steps in perfect accordance with what you accept as true. Let me share with you a principle that has transformed countless lives, the principle of revision. Revision is the art of mentally rewriting past events to align with your desires. If you have experienced something unwanted, you can, in your imagination, revise that event to unfold as you would have preferred. In doing so, you alter not only your memory of the past, but also the trajectory of your future. Why does revision work? Because time as we experience it in this three-dimensional world is an illusion. There is only the eternal now, the present moment in which all possibilities exist simultaneously. When you revise the past in your imagination, you are not pretending or fantasizing, you are actually selecting a different reality from the infinite array of possible realities that exist within your consciousness. Through revision, you cleanse your mental diet of toxic assumptions and beliefs that have been ordering your steps toward unwanted experiences. You replace these with empowering assumptions that will, with the same precision, order your steps toward desired experiences. But perhaps the most profound aspect of God ordering your steps is this: the ultimate purpose behind every event, every encounter, every circumstance in your life is to awaken you to your true identity as God. Everything that happens to you, whether you label it as good or bad, is designed to lead you to this supreme realization. This is why I urge you not to judge the events of your life by appearances. The encounter that seems most challenging may be the very catalyst needed to propel you toward a greater understanding of your divine nature. The disappointment that feels most bitter may be the precise experience required to dissolve a limiting belief that has been holding you captive. God orders your steps not for your comfort, but for your awakening. And in that awakening lies a joy and a freedom that transcends all worldly pleasure and success. Consider the story of Joseph in the Bible. Sold into slavery by his brothers, imprisoned unjustly, forgotten by those he helped from all outward appearances. Joseph's steps were being ordered towards suffering, yet each of these seemingly tragic events was positioning him precisely where he needed to be to fulfill his ultimate purpose and realize his divine identity. When Joseph finally revealed himself to his brothers, he spoke these profound words: "But as for you, ye thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good." Joseph recognized that despite the appearances of evil, God was ordering his steps toward a greater good that could not have been accomplished through any other sequence of events. In your own life, can you look back at events that seemed tragic or painful at the time they occurred, only to discover later that they were essential steps leading you toward a greater good? This is the wisdom of hindsight. But I tell you that you need not wait for the passage of time to gain this perspective. You can know right now that regardless of appearances, God is ordering your steps toward your highest good, your complete awakening. But how do you align yourself with this divine orchestration? How do you consciously participate in the ordering of your steps? The answer is both simple and profound. You must live from the end. To live from the end means to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, to dwell in the absolute certainty that what you desire is already yours, not as a future possibility, but as a present fact. When you live from the end, you are not trying to make something happen. You are acknowledging what already is in the realm of consciousness, which is the only reality. This principle is beautifully illustrated in Scripture. Therefore I say unto you, what things soever ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them. To believe that you receive before you see external evidence is the essence of living from the end. It is the recognition that in consciousness, in imagination, in the only reality that truly exists, your desire is already fulfilled. When you live from the end, God orders your steps with flawless precision toward the manifestation of that end in your three-dimensional experience. You need not concern yourself with the how or the when. Your only responsibility is to remain faithful to the assumption that your desire is already yours. This fidelity to your assumption is what Scripture calls faith. Faith is not hoping or wishing. It is the conviction of the reality of things not yet seen with the physical eye. It is knowing that what is true in consciousness must by law materialize in experience. I recall a lady who attended my lectures in New York. She desired a specific apartment in a building that had no vacancies. Instead of focusing on the apparent impossibility of her desire, she began to live from the end. Each night before sleep, she would imagine falling asleep in that very apartment, feeling the satisfaction of already living there. She persisted in this assumption for several weeks, never wavering despite the fact that there was no external evidence to support her claim. Then, through a series of events that no human intellect could have planned or predicted, the exact apartment she desired became available, and she was offered the lease. Was this coincidence? No, it was God ordering her steps in perfect alignment with her persistent assumption. The feeling of living in that apartment, which she faithfully maintained in her imagination, was the divine directive that orchestrated every event leading to its physical manifestation. This lady did not have to manipulate circumstances or persuade people. She did not have to plot and plan and struggle. She simply had to assume the feeling of her wish fulfilled, and from that state of fulfillment, God ordered her steps unerringly toward the objective embodiment of her desire. Now, let me address a question that often arises: if God is ordering my steps, and God is my own wonderful human imagination, do I have free will? Am I truly making choices, or is everything predetermined? The answer is both profound and paradoxical. You have absolute freedom to choose the state of consciousness from which you operate. This is your divine right, your divine gift, and no person or circumstance can deprive you of it. However, once you have chosen a state, the thoughts, feelings, actions, and experiences that flow from that state are determined by the nature of the state itself. If you choose a state of wealth consciousness, you will naturally think, feel, and act in ways consistent with that state, and your experiences will reflect this consciousness back to you. If you choose a state of poverty consciousness, your thoughts, feelings, actions, and experiences will likewise align with that choice. This is the true meaning of free will. It is not the freedom to control external events or to manipulate the behavior of others. It is the freedom to choose the state of consciousness from which you observe and interact with the world. And this choice is absolutely determinative of your experience. So you see, God's ordering of your steps is not a limitation of your freedom, but the very mechanism through which your freedom expresses itself. By choosing your state of consciousness, you are essentially instructing God, your own wonderful human imagination, how to order your steps. And this brings us to a vital point. The ordering of your steps is not a process that unfolds only occasionally or in response to specific prayers or intentions. It is happening continuously in every moment of your existence, whether you are conscious of it or not. Your assumptions are constantly being projected outward and returning to you as the experiences of your life. This is why I emphasize the importance of mindfulness, of being attentive to the contents of your consciousness. What are you assuming right now? What state are you dwelling in? The answer to these questions will reveal the direction in which your steps are being ordered. If you find yourself in a state that does not align with your desires, remember that you have the freedom to choose again. You are never locked into any state of consciousness. At any moment you can shift your assumption and thereby alter the course of your life. But how does one make this shift? It is not through force of will or through positive thinking as it is commonly understood. It is through the art of feeling, of experiencing in imagination the reality of the desired state. To shift from a state of lack to a state of abundance, you must feel the relief, the security, the freedom that abundance would bring. To shift from a state of loneliness to a state of loving relationship, you must feel the joy, the companionship, the intimacy that such a relationship would provide. The feeling is the secret. The feeling is the prayer. The feeling is the directive that orders your steps toward the manifestation of your desire. And here, my dear friends, we touch upon a mystery so profound that it has eluded the greatest minds throughout human history. The mystery is this: the feeling of the wish fulfilled, persisted in, will order your steps, not only toward the manifestation of that wish, but the transformation of your very being. For the ultimate purpose of existence is not the accumulation of possessions or experiences, as wonderful as these may be. It is the realization of your divine identity, the awakening to the truth that you are God expressing Himself as a unique human personality. This awakening is what Scripture calls the birth from above. It is the moment when you no longer believe in God as an external entity, but know yourself to be God in human form. And every event in your life, every step that has been ordered by your assumptions, has been leading you toward this supreme realization. I tell you truly, once you have awakened to your divine identity, you will look back on your life and see that every event, every encounter, every circumstance, whether you labeled it as fortunate or unfortunate, at the time was time for divine orchestration leading you to this awakening. You will see that there were no mistakes, no wrong turns, no wasted experiences. All was perfectly ordered according to the law of consciousness, the law that is God in action. And in that recognition, you will feel a gratitude so profound that it transforms your understanding of the entire human journey. Let me illustrate this with a personal experience. Many years ago, I found myself in a situation that, by all external measures, appeared to be a devastating setback. I had invested considerable time and resources in a venture that failed completely, leaving me in a state of financial uncertainty. In that moment, I had a choice. I could assume that I was a victim of circumstance, that life was unfair, that my steps were being ordered toward hardship and lack. Or I could assume that this apparent setback was actually a divine redirection, ordering my steps toward a greater purpose that I could not yet perceive with my physical senses. I chose the latter assumption, not as a form of positive thinking or wishful optimism, but as a recognition of the law of consciousness that I knew to be true. I lived from the end of having already transcended this temporary challenge and having been led to a greater expression of my purpose. Within weeks, through a series of events that no human intellect could have orchestrated, I was introduced to opportunities that not only resolved the financial situation, but opened doors to share these teachings with audiences I would never have reached had the original venture succeeded. Looking back, I can see with perfect clarity that what appeared to be a setback was, in fact, God ordering my steps with flawless precision toward the fulfillment of my true purpose. And this is true not only in my experience, but in yours as well. Every experience you have ever had, every step you have ever taken, has been perfectly ordered to lead you to this moment, to this understanding, to this opportunity to awaken to your divine identity, and to consciously participate in the ordering of your steps. So how, in practical terms, do you align yourself with this divine orchestration? How do you consciously participate in God's ordering of your steps? Let me offer you specific guidance. First, clarify your desire. What is it that you truly want to experience? Not what you think is possible based on your current circumstances, but what would you choose if you knew that all things were possible to the God within you? Once you have clarity of your desire, construct a scene that would imply its fulfillment. This scene should be simple, concise, and imply that your desire is already a reality. Perhaps it is a conversation with a friend in which you share the good news of your desire's fulfillment. Perhaps it is simply the feeling of relief and satisfaction that would accompany the realization of your wish. With your scene constructed, enter into a state of relaxation. This is crucial, for the subconscious mind, which is the creative power of God within you, is most receptive when the conscious mind is temporarily suspended. Just before sleep is an ideal time for this practice, as the transition from wakefulness to sleep naturally bypasses the analytical, critical faculties of the conscious mind. In this relaxed state, enact your scene in imagination. See it clearly, hear the sounds that would accompany it, feel the emotions that would arise from the fulfillment of your desire. Make the scene as vivid and as real as possible, involving all your senses. Most importantly, feel the reality of what you are imagining. The feeling is the secret. The feeling is the prayer. The feeling is the directive that orders your steps toward the manifestation of your desire. Repeat this practice nightly, or whenever you find yourself in a quiet, receptive state. Do not be concerned with how or when your desire will materialize. Your responsibility is not to figure out the process, but to remain faithful to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. As you go about your daily activities, maintain the assumption that your desire is already a reality in consciousness, which is the only reality. This does not mean denying the evidence of your senses or pretending that conditions are other than they appear to be. It means knowing that appearances are merely shadows, reflections of past assumptions, and that the newly established assumption will, in due course, replace these shadows with the substance of your desire. Throughout your day, whenever doubts or contradictory evidences present themselves, quietly return to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Do not fight against negative thoughts or feelings. Simply withdraw your attention from them and redirect it to the assumption of fulfillment. This practice persisted in will order your steps with divine precision toward the manifestation of your desire. You need not concern yourself with the specific actions you should take or the decisions you should make. From the state of fulfilled desire, you will naturally think the thoughts, feel the feelings, and take the actions that lead to its externalization. But remember, the greatest desire, the ultimate purpose toward which all your steps are being ordered, is the realization of your divine identity. Every lesser desire, when fulfilled, is designed to lead you toward this supreme realization. So as you practice this art of conscious assumption, do so not only for the fulfillment of specific desires, but for the awakening to your true self. Assume the feeling, I am God, expressing as this unique human personality. Live from that assumption and watch as your steps are ordered toward experiences that confirm and deepen this truth. In the final analysis, God's ordering of your steps is not about controlling external events or accumulating possessions and experiences, as delightful as these may be. It is about awakening you to who you truly are and have always been, God Himself individualized as you. Every event in your life, every step you have taken, has been leading you toward this supreme realization. And once you have awakened to this truth, you will look back on your journey with profound gratitude, recognizing that all was perfectly ordered according to the divine pattern woven into the very fabric of your being. My dear friends, as we bring this discussion to a close, I want to leave you with a thought so powerful, so transformative, that if you truly embrace it, your life will never be the same. The God who is ordering your steps is not separate from you, is not external to you, is not other than you. The God who is ordering your steps is the very consciousness in which you live and move and have your being. You are that God expressing Himself as this unique human personality, this specific pattern of thinking and feeling and perceiving. And the more fully you embrace this truth, the more consciously you can participate in the ordering of your steps. So I say to you now, with all the conviction of my being, assume a divinity. Live from the certainty that you are God expressing in human form. Feel the peace, the power, the limitless potential that this realization brings. And from that state of divine self-awareness, watch as your steps are ordered with flawless precision toward experiences that reflect and confirm your true identity. Remember, the feeling is the secret. The feeling of being God in human form, of being the divine consciousness that orders all things according to its nature, is the most powerful assumption you can make. Live from that feeling, and you will witness a transformation in your life so profound that you will pound in all of the perfection with which your steps have been and are being ordered. I thank you for your attention, for your openness to these truths, and for your willingness to test them in the laboratory of your own experience. For that is where all truth must ultimately be verified, not in the realm of theory or belief, but in the lived reality of your daily life. Go now in the awareness of your divine identity and watch as God orders your steps toward the fulfillment of your desires and the realization of your true self. For I tell you truly, as you assume your divinity, as you live from the certainty that you are God expressing in human form, your steps will be ordered with such divine precision that you will look back on this moment as the beginning of a new and glorious chapter in your eternal existence. In the words of Scripture, the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and He delighteth in His way. Go forth now in the knowledge that you are that Lord, ordering your own steps through the power of your divine imagination. And in that knowledge, in that assumption, in that feeling lies the freedom and the power to create the life you desire to live. Thank you, and good night. When I speak of preparation for the final plan, I am not speaking of physical preparations of any kind. I am not telling you to store food, to buy gold, to retreat to the mountain. No, the preparation I speak of is a spiritual awakening to your true identity. For you are not just a man or woman of flesh and blood, you are spirit. You are consciousness, you are imagination, the very essence of God Himself. In the book of John, we read, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." This word, this logos, is not something outside of you. It is the foundational reality of being. It is your own wonderful human imagination. And in April 2025, those who have discovered this truth will experience the culmination of the divine plan. Now let me tell you what this plan entails. The final plan of God is the awakening of man to the realization that he is God. Not a part of God, not a creation separate from God, but God Himself individualized. This is the mystery of mysteries, the secret that has been veiled in all the greatest traditions of the world. Why April 2025? Because time, my dear friends, is not what you have been taught to believe. Time is not a linear progression from past to future. Time is a dimensionality of consciousness. And in the divine economy, certain moments hold a concentrated power, a potentiality that can be realized by those who are awake to it. April 2025 represents such a moment. It is a cosmic alignment, a convergence of spiritual forces that have been set in motion since the foundation of the world. Those who are prepared, those who have discovered the power of their own wonderful human imagination, will step into a new dimension of being. Let me share with you a personal experience. 3 months ago, I had a vision. In this vision, I saw the date I-3-5 written in golden letters across the sky. And beneath this date were the words, "The promise fulfilled." I did not understand the full import of this vision at that time, but it was impressed upon my consciousness with such vivid clarity that I knew it held profound significance. 2 weeks later, I had a dream. In this dream, I was standing before a great multitude of people, and a voice that seemed to emanate from the very depths of my being, said to me, "Tell them to prepare for the final plan. Tell them that in April 2025, that which has been written will be fulfilled." What is it that has been written? It is the promise contained in the scriptures. "I will put my law within them, and I will write it on their hearts, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people." This is not speaking of an external law, a set of rules to be followed. It is speaking of the law of consciousness, the principle that consciousness is the one and only reality. The preparation for this final plan is simple, yet it requires a complete reorganization of your thinking. You must set aside everything you have been taught about God as an external being separate from yourself. You must cease looking to the skies for salvation. For the kingdom of God is within you, and the power that you seek is your own wonderful human imagination. Each of you sitting here tonight is an aspect of the divine imagination individualized for a purpose. And that purpose is about to be revealed in its fullness. The veils that have separated you from the knowledge of your true identity are about to be rent asunder. Now, let me explain the practical application of this truth. If you would prepare for the plan in April 2025, you must begin now to exercise the divine power that is your birthright. And that power is the power of assumption. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Whatever it is that you desire, health, wealth, love, creative expression, assume that you already possess it. Feel the reality of its possession. Fall asleep in that assumption night after night. For in the depth of sleep, when your conscious mind is at rest, your subconscious mind accepts the impressions you have given it. And what is impressed upon the subconscious must be expressed. This is the law, and it cannot fail. For the subconscious mind does not argue, it does not question. It simply accepts what is impressed upon it as fact, and proceeds to bring about the circumstances necessary for the expression of that fact. But you must persist. You must not allow the evidence of your senses to dissuade you from your assumption. For remember, the physical world is but a shadow, a reflection of consciousness. and consciousness is the one and only reality. I recall a lady who came to me in dire straits. Her husband had abandoned her and their 3 children. They were facing eviction from their home. She had no job, no prospects, and her family had turned their backs on her. I told her, assume that your life is now full of abundance and joy. Assume that all your needs are met. Assume that you are loved and supported. She looked at me with tears in her eyes and said, but that is not my reality. How can I assume what is so blatantly contradicted by the facts of my life? I replied, the facts of your life are the outpicturing of your past assumptions. Change your assumptions and you change the facts. This is the law. Reluctantly, she agreed to try. Each night before sleep, she would close her eyes and imagine that she was in a beautiful home, surrounded by her children, all of them well-fed, well-clothed, and happy. She would imagine opening her mailbox to find checks made out to her name. She would feel the sense of security, of abundance, of being loved and cared for. 3 weeks later, she received a phone call from a cousin she had not spoken to in years. This cousin had just started a business and needed someone to manage the office. She offered my friend the position with a salary that was more than adequate to meet her need. Furthermore, the cousin owned several rental properties and offered her a lovely home at a nominal rent. Within a month, my friend's entire life had been transformed. Was this a coincidence? There are no coincidences in a universe governed by law. It was the natural, inevitable result of the operation of consciousness. The final plan of God in April 2025 is the universal awakening to this truth. Those who have practiced the law, who have lived by the power of assumption, will lead the way. They will be the forerunners, the pioneers of a new age of consciousness. Now you might ask, what if April 25 comes and goes and nothing happens? My answer to you is this: something will happen, but it may not be what your limited understanding expects. The fulfillment of the divine plan is not a spectacle for the senses. It is an inner awakening, a transfiguration of consciousness. Remember the words of Scripture. The kingdom of God does not come with observation, nor will they say, see here or see there, for indeed the kingdom of God is within you. The final plan is not an external event, but an inner realization. Let me share with you another experience. 2 years ago, I was in meditation when I was shown a vision of the world as it will be after April 2025. I saw humanity transformed, not by some external intervention, but by the power of awakened imagination. In this vision, men and women walked the earth as gods. They had discovered the divine power within them and were exercising it consciously, deliberately. Disease, poverty, conflict, these had all but disappeared, not because some external savior had removed them, but because humanity had awakened to its power to create reality through consciousness. This is the world that awaits us beyond April 25. It is a world where man has reclaimed his divine inheritance, where he has remembered who he really is, God himself individualized. But the path to this new world begins with you, here now. It begins with your willingness to test the law, to prove it in the laboratory of your own life. Start with something small if you must. If you can't yet believe in the transformation of your entire life, begin with a single aspect. If you are facing a health challenge, assume perfect health. If you are struggling financially, assume abundance. If your relationships are strained, assume harmony and love. And as you prove the law in these smaller matters, your faith will grow and you will begin to apply it to greater and greater things. For there is no limit to what you can achieve through the power of your own wonderful human imagination. April 2025 is not far off. The time to prepare is now. And the preparation is not external but internal. It is a reorientation of consciousness, a shifting of your point of awareness from the limited self, the self that is subject to circumstances, to the unlimited self, the divine I am that creates circumstances. This is what Jesus meant when he said, I and my Father are one. He was not claiming a unique status for himself. He was revealing a universal truth about the nature of consciousness. The I am within you is God. When you say I am, you are invoking the name of God. And whatever you attach to that divine name, whatever state you assume, you are calling into manifestation. If you say I am sick, you are condemning God to sickness. If you say I am poor, you are condemning God to poverty. For the I am is God, and God can only be what you allow Him to be in your consciousness. This is the blasphemy of which humanity has been guilty throughout the ages. Using the divine name I am to affirm limitation, lack, and disease. And this is the repentance that is called for. A change of mind, a turning away from such limited conceptions of self to the realization of your divine nature. The final plan in April 2025 is the universal recognition of this truth. It is the dawning of the age of imagination, where man lives consciously from his divine center, creating reality in accordance with his highest ideals. But you need not wait for April 2025 to experience this transformation. You can begin to live from your divine center now. You can begin to exercise the power of assumption today. And as you do, you will become a forerunner, a harbinger of the new age that is to come. There is a story in the scriptures that beautifully illustrates this principle. When the Israelites were about to enter the promised land, Joshua sent spies ahead to scout the territory. Most of the spies returned with fearful reports of giants in the land of fortified cities of insurmountable obstacles. But Caleb and Joshua saw things differently. They said, "We are well able to overcome it." Why did they see what the others could not? Because they were looking through the eyes of faith. They were exercising the power of assumption. They were not denying the existence of the giants or the fortified cities. They were simply refusing to accept these as final facts. They were seeing beyond the current reality to the desired end. This is what I am asking of you tonight. Look beyond the apparent facts of your life, the limitations, the obstacles, the giants in the land to the desired end. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Live from that assumption. And watch as the facts of your life begin to reorganize themselves to conform to your assumption. April 2025 represents the prophesied time when this power of assumption will be recognized universally. It is the time of the revealing of the sons of God, those who have awakened to their divine nature and are exercising the power of the God within. Now, there will be signs preceding this great awakening. Already we see the old structures crumbling, the institutions that have been built on a false conception of reality, on the idea of separation, on the belief in external powers greater than the human imagination. These must give way to make room for the new consciousness that is emerging. Do not fear these changes, they are necessary. The dissolution of the old is always a prerequisite for the birth of the new. Just as a seed must disintegrate before the plant can emerge, so the old conception of reality must dissolve before the new can be born. In your personal life, you may experience a similar process. As you begin to live from your divine center, as you exercise the power of assumption, you may find that certain relationships, certain situations, certain aspects of your life begin to fall away. Do not resist this process. It is the necessary clearing of the ground for the new structures that will arise from your awakened consciousness. Remember, the universe is infinitely plastic. It is responsive to consciousness. It will configure itself according to your dominant assumptions. If you assume health, it will present you with the phenomena of health. If you assume wealth, it will present you with the phenomena of wealth. If you assume love, it will present you with the phenomena of love. This is not magical thinking. It is not wishful thinking. It is the operation of law. A law as inexorable as gravity, as reliable as the movement of the planets in their orbits. The final plan of God in April 2025 is the universal recognition of this law. It is the awakening of humanity to the creative power of consciousness, to the divinity that resides within each individual. Those who have prepared themselves, those who have discovered and applied the law of assumption, will lead the way. They will be the teachers, the way showers, the exemplars of the new consciousness. So how do you prepare? By living now as if you were already the person you desire to be, by assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, by identifying with the divine I am rather than with the limited self that is subject to circumstances. This requires discipline. It requires vigilance. For the old habits of thought and feeling will not surrender without a struggle. The evidence of your senses will contradict your assumption. The opinions of others may challenge your new self-concept. Doubt will arise within your own mind. But you must persist. You must hold fast to your assumption. You must live from the end, not from the present circumstance. For the present circumstance is but the shadow of past assumptions. It has no power to determine your future, unless you give it that power by your attention and belief. Each of you has had experiences that validate this principle, though you may not have recognized them as such. There have been times in your life when you simply knew that something would come to pass, when you had an unshakable faith in a particular outcome, and that outcome manifested, not because it was predetermined by external forces, but because your consciousness decreed it. These experiences were not anomalies. They were demonstrations of the law that governs all manifestation, the law that consciousness is the one and only reality, and that the world of form is but the outpicturing of consciousness. April 2025 represents the time when this law will be universally recognized and applied. It is the fulfillment of the prophecy, "They shall all know me, from the least of them to the greatest." Who is this me that shall be known? It is the divine I am, the creative consciousness that is the essence of every individual. It is the God within, the only God there ever was or ever will be. The preparation for this final plan is your awakening to this truth now. It is your willingness to test the law, to prove it in the laboratory of your own life. It is your commitment to living from your divine center rather than from the periphery of sense experience. Begin today. Choose a desire that seems reasonable to you, something that you can believe in without strain. Assume that it is already fulfilled. Feel the reality of its fulfillment. Live from that assumption and watch as the universe reconfigures itself to match your assumption. As your confidence grows, as you prove the law in the smaller things, you will begin to apply it to greater and greater aspects of your life. You will become aware of the limitless power that is your birthright. You will step into your divine inheritance. And when April 2025 arrives, you will be prepared. You will be among those who lead to the new age of consciousness, the age where man lives the divine being he truly is. Remember, this is not about escaping the world. It is about transforming it through the power of awakened imagination. It is about bringing heaven to earth, not by looking to the skies, but by looking within to the kingdom of God that resides in every human heart. The scripture says, "Behold, I make all things new." This is not speaking of an external deity remaking the world. It is speaking of the divine I am within you, making all things new through the creative power of assumption. April 2025 is the appointed time for the universal recognition of this truth. But for you, the time is now. The place is here. The power is within you. I have shared with you tonight the secret of the ages, the mystery that has been kept hidden since the world began. It is the most practical, most usable knowledge you will ever acquire. For it puts you in touch with the source of all creation, with the power that brings worlds into being. Use it wisely. Use it lovingly. Use it to create a life that reflects your highest ideals, your noblest aspirations. Use it to contribute to the transformation of human consciousness that is now underway and will reach its culmination in April 2025. And know this as you transform your own consciousness. As you awaken to your divine nature, you contribute to the transformation of collective consciousness. You become a light in the darkness, a beacon showing the way for others. This is the true meaning of service. It is not sacrifice. It is not suffering. It is the joyful expression of your divine nature, the sharing of the gift that you have discovered within yourself. So go forth from this place tonight with a new understanding of who you are and what you are capable of. Go forth with the knowledge that the power of God is not something outside of you, but the very essence of your being. Go forth with the commitment to live from your divine center, to exercise the power of assumption to be the change you wish to see in the world. And as April 2025 approaches, watch for the signs of the final unfolding, not in the external world, but in the transformation of consciousness that is spreading across the globe. For the kingdom of God comes not with observation, but within the hearts and minds of awakened individuals. You are those individuals. You are the harbingers of the new age. You are the forerunners of the final plan. And as you live from your divine center, as you exercise the power of your wonderful human imagination, you make straight the way for the yoni that waken in April 2025. So I leave you with this charge: be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Put off the old man, the limited self-concept that has bound you to a life of limitation, and put on the new man, the awakened self that knows its divine nature and exercises its creative power. For you are not just a man or woman of flesh and blood. You are spirit. You are consciousness. You are imagination, the very essence of God Himself. And in April 2025, this truth will be known by all, from the least to the greatest. But for you, the time of knowing is now. The time of living from this knowledge is now. The time of transforming your life through the power of assumption is now. Go in peace. Go in power. Go in the absolute knowledge that you are divine, that you are the creator of reality, that you are the God you have been seeking. For it is written, the kingdom of God is within you. And in April 2025, this kingdom will be fully revealed, not as a divine, but as the consciousness that is the essence of every individual. The preparation begins with you here now. It begins with your willingness to test the law, to prove it in the laboratory of your own life. It begins with your commitment to living from your divine center rather than from the periphery of sense experience. So I urge you, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Live from the end. Be the person you desire to be. For as you assume, so shall it be unto you. This is the law, and it cannot fail. April 2025 is not just date on the calendar. It is point. It is here the power to draw forth the truth, the core of the eclectic imagination. The final plan is not something imposed from without. It is the flowering of the divine seed that has been planted within each of you. And the time of that flowering is at hand. Prepare then, not with fear, not with anxiety, but with joyful anticipation. For the kingdom that is about to be revealed is the kingdom of your own divine consciousness. The kingdom that has always been within you, waiting to be recognized and expressed. In April 2025, that kingdom will be fully revealed. And those who have prepared, those who have discovered and applied the law of assumption, will lead humanity into a new age of consciousness, an age where man lives as the divine being he truly is. This is the promise. This is the prophecy. This is the final plan of God for the transformation of human consciousness. And it begins with you here now. So go forth and create the life that reflects your highest ideals, your noblest aspirations. Go forth and contribute to the transformation of collective consciousness. Go forth and be the light that this world so desperately needs. For you are that light. You are the hope of the world. You are the divine presence incarnate, the God of gods walking the earth in human form. April 2025 is the appointed time for the universal recognition of this truth. But for you, the time is now. The place is here. The power is within you. Use it wisely. Use it lovingly. Use it to create a world that reflects the divine nature of its creator, you, the awakened I Am. For in the final analysis, there is only one creator, one source, one God, the divine consciousness that is the essence of every individual. And in April 2025, this truth will be known by all, from the least to the greatest. But for you, the time of knowing is now. The time of living from this knowledge is now. The time of transforming your life through the power of assumption is now. So I leave you with this blessing. May the God in you awaken to his true identity. May the divine I Am within you claim its rightful inheritance. May the power of your wonderful human imagination transform not only your life, but the life of the world. For you are divine. You are eternal. You are the creator of your reality. And in April 2025, this truth will be the foundation of a new world, a world created not by external forces, but by the awakened consciousness of divine individuals like you. The final plan is unfolding. The appointed time is approaching. The transformation of human consciousness is underway, and you are at the forefront of this great awakening, this return to the knowledge of our divine nature, this remembering of who we really are. So let us prepare for April 2025, not with fear, not with anxiety, but with joyful anticipation. For the kingdom that is about to be revealed is the kingdom of our own divine consciousness, the kingdom that has always been within us, waiting to be recognized and expressed. In that recognition, in that expression, lies the salvation of the world. Not a salvation imposed from without, but a transformation from within, a transformation of consciousness that will manifest as a transformation of reality. This is the final plan. This is the divine intention. This is the destiny toward which all of creation has been moving since the foundation of the world. And we are privileged to be alive at this pivotal moment in human history, this cusp between the old consciousness and the new, this threshold between the world as it has been and the world as it shall be. April 2025 marks the culmination of this transformation, but the transformation itself is already underway. It is happening now, in this very moment, in the awakening of individual consciousness to its divine nature and creative power. So let us embrace this transformation. Let us be the forerunners of the new age. Let us live now from our divine center, exercising the power of assumption, creating the reality that reflects our highest ideals and noblest aspirations. For in doing so, we not only transform our own lives, we contribute to the transformation of collective consciousness. We become part of the final plan, the divine intention for the evolution of human consciousness. This is our calling. This is our destiny. This is our divine inheritance. And April 2025 is the appointed time for its full realization. Let us prepare then, not with outward actions, but with inward transformation. Let us awaken to the God within. Let us exercise the divine power that is our birthright. Let us be the change we wish to see in the world. For as we do, we make straight the way for the universal awakening that will culminate in April 2025. We become the harbingers of the new age, the forerunners of the final plan, the wayshowers for humanity's return to its divine heritage. This is the greatest service we can render to the world. It is not sacrifice. It is not suffering. It is the joyful expression of our divine nature, the sharing of the gift we have discovered within ourselves. So go forth with this knowledge. Go forth with this power. Go forth as the divine being you truly are, and watch as your life and the life of the world is transformed by the creative force of your own wonderful human imagination. April 2025 is the appointed time for the universal recognition of this truth. But for you, the time is now. The place is here. The power is within you. Use it wisely. Use it lovingly. Use it to create a world that reflects the divine nature of its creator. You, the awakened I Am,